Hi guys, and welcome back to my channel. Welcome back to this series of looking at the House of Night. I didn't abandon it. I just didn't realise that 6 months had passed since I did the first one. That was 6 months ago. That is ridiculous. And it's at like 500,000 views. Thank you very much. It's at 500,000 views. If only I'd done one a month, I could be dining out on that for the next year or so. But that's what I'm going to do. Dine out and also do one of these a month, because there is 12 novels in the main series and there's 4 novellas. That is a year's worth of content. So you've got that to look forward to. But first, hi everyone. Do you want to make fun, exciting videos and share your content in different and inspiring ways? Well, look no further. I have the application for you. This is Wondershare DemoCreator. Yes, this is indeed me, the big Alizee Yeezy. Don't believe me? Here I am. I'm going to share with you guys today how to use this program, which you can use for presenting, live streaming, and other things if you don't want to put yourself on camera. I'm going to show you how to use this program. We're going to want to go on to start a new demo project right here. The version I have is 6.0. Oh, look at that. There I am. Hello, it's me again. So you have your camera option here. You have your avatar here. I picked this one because I think this looks definitely it's my doppelganger. Are you kidding? But you also have these fun ones like this. Tee-hee. Oh, stop it, you. Or this for the more serious, I don't know, Twitch gamer girl vibes. And there's also this bloke. Hello. See, it moves with me blinking at the same time. Hello. So this app is good for presenting content. The avatar feature is good if you want to be a VTuber, you don't fancy doing your hair or makeup that day, etc, etc. Hi, it's me again. Say you want to present, but your bedroom's a bit messy. You just click blur background here. You can also just remove the background entirely. There are also filters. Oh my god, that's so Twilight. You also have the options to just really change your face. It's quite a subtle effect. Oh no, I want my other face back. So as you can see, we have lots of options. If you're using this to present, we can change the clipboard setting here. This is my podcast. You see, you have a pen option here. You can change the thickness and color. You also just have a text option where you can write anything you want. And if you want to forgo all of that, you can have just a normal whiteboard. Another good option that this program has is you can live stream. When you live stream, you can connect DemoCreator to various other apps such as Facebook, YouTube, Discord, and broadcast to any size audience. DemoCreator has launched a campaign to invite you guys to share your knowledge, skills, and highlight moments with their video presentation maker on YouTube with a hashtag #PresentWithDemoCreator. If you do this, they will pick three lucky winners to send you free licenses or a $100 Amazon gift card reward. I highly recommend you participate in this. DemoCreator's download link is in my description. Thank you so much to DemoCreator for sponsoring today's video. Now let's get back to my video. 3 things before we start. Like, comment, subscribe for the algorithm, do all that good shit, yeah? What's the second thing? I've forgotten already. Oh yeah, cop some of my merch. Maybe I'll put an advert for my merch later on. Maybe I won't. I don't know. I'm a wild card. If I was a police chief, I'd be fired for being too much of a loose cannon, too much of a rebel. And thirdly, I feel weird I feel weird. Today I had my first dose of my new medication for my ADHD and it was kind of weird. I'm going to talk about it in an upcoming podcast. Maybe that'll be out before this video gets out. I don't know. Who knows? This has been 6 of the months in the bloody making. But it was a little bit strange. I don't feel entirely... I just feel a little bit strange and very thirsty, very dry mouth, very, you know... So it's been a bit of a roller coaster of a day, so I feel a bit strange. And also it is... What time? It's 10 p.m. I can't film during the day. You don't care. You don't care. I'm just going to get on with it. Acknowledgements. As usual, we want to thank Dick L. Cast, Dad, Grandpa, for knowing everything biological and helping us with stuff. Good old Dick helping them with stuff. Thank you to our amazing agent, Meredith Bernstein, who came up with the fabulous idea that began the series. The agent gave you... Shouldn't you be going to the agent with ideas? Why is the agent going to you? Also, yeah, thanks Meredith. Thanks for nothing. Thanks for having this out there. And we'd like to note a special acknowledgement to Street Cats, a cat rescue and adoption service in Tulsa. We support Street Cats and actually adopted Nala from them and appreciate their dedication to and love for cats. Please visit their website at www.streetcattulsa.org for more information. If you're interested in giving to a pet rescue charity, we promise that they are an excellent choice. PC and Kristen. This is fine. I'm not going to be snipey about that. Good for them using their platform for good. Fine with that. I'm getting a headache already. I'm blaming the book. No matter what happens tonight, I have to get this video finished because it should have been finished a month ago. We're going to sit here and do this to the very bitter end. And on that note, chapter 1. New kid, check it out, Shawnee said as she slid into the big booth-like bench we always claim as ours for every school meal served in the dining hall. Translation, high class school cafeteria. Oh, high class as in higher society. You bloody toffs. Also, I know what a dining hall is. We've all read Harry Potter. Tragic, twin. Just tragic. Erin's voice totally echoed Shawnee's. She and Shawnee had some kind of psychic link that made them bizarrely similar, which is why we'd nicknamed them the twins. Even though Shawnee is a cafe latte coloured Jamaican American from Connecticut and Erin is a blonde-haired, blue-eyed white girl from Oklahoma. 2 paragraphs in, and I am done. End of video. Thanks for watching. See you later, mate. Don't let the door hit you on the way out when you exit this video. But I must commend the cast duo because they've done something incredible. They have ended prejudice because I hate everyone equally in this book. Thankfully, she's Sarah Freebird's roommate. Damien nodded toward the petite girl with seriously black hair, who was showing the lost-looking new kid around the dining hall, his sharp, fashion-wise gaze checking out the 2 girls and their outfits, from shoes to earrings, in one fast glance. Clearly her fashion sense is better than Sarah's, despite the stress of being marked and changing schools. Maybe she'll be able to help Sarah out with her unfortunate ugly shoe propensity. This judgmental group of teenagers are our good guys. I don't know about you lot, but I love it when the good guys are just thinly disguised bitches. Damien sniffed. Looking offended and superior and gayer than he usually looked, even though he is definitely gay. If your vocabulary wasn't so abysmal, you wouldn't have to carry a dictionary around with you to keep up with me. Oh my god, snap, flippin' burn, mate. OMG, I think Damien is gay. Is anyone else getting that vibe? In her thick Oklahoma accent, Stevie Ray twanged the 2 definitions as if she was giving clues for a spelling bee. Propensity, an often intense natural preference. Abysmal, absolutely horrible. See also this book series. There, now would y'all quit bickering and be nice? You know it's almost time for parent visitation and we shouldn't be acting like, when our folks show up. I'd totally forgotten too. The 4 of us gave him sympathetic looks. Damien's parents were cool with him being marked, moving to the house at night, and beginning the change that would either turn him into a vampire, or if his body rejected the transformation, kill him. They were not okay with him being gay. Which would be awful, being judged by your primary caregivers, your egg and sperm donors, being judged for something that you just can't help. At least Damien's parents were okay with something about him. My mum and her current husband, the step loser John Heffer, on the other hand, hated absolutely everything about me. But by the next paragraph, Zoe, our narrator, quickly reminds us that she wins the Victim Olympics. Also, there is a lot of "my parents don't love me" in this book. But considering the main characters are all annoying, I feel like it's just shoehorned in for sympathy. Look, this is my tan. This is my chest. This is my tan. This is my Damien bemoans it's his birthday month and his parents might bring him presents. They won't get me a sketch pad, he said. Last year I asked for an easel. They got me camping supplies and a subscription to Sports Illustrated. Camping supplies? It's a step up from trying to pray the gay away. Someone brings over the new girl to Zoey so she can fawn over her. The new girl over Zoey, obviously. Wow, it's really true, the new girl blurted before I could even say hi. As per usual, she was staring at my forehead and blushing bright red. Sorry. I didn't mean to be rude or anything. She trailed off, looking miserable. What? Again, it's weird, like when you read it and then write the script, it's a different experience to when you actually read it aloud, because when you read it aloud, you get to really feel it. She trailed off looking miserable. Why? Grow up. That's okay. Yeah, it is true. My mark is filled in and added to. I kept my smile in place, trying to make her feel better, even though I truly hated that it seemed like I was the main attraction at a freak show. Again. She is lying. Zoey loves the attention because it gives her something to complain about. It is exactly like how the British, yeah, me, we love queuing, so we can complain about being in queues. Is that why one of our shops is called B&Q's? B&Q. What is it? B&Q. What does it mean? A subsidiary of Kingfisher PLC. Can you believe it? Do you give a shit? I don't either. Was it originally called Block and Quayle after the founders Richard Block and David Quayle. I thought it stood for like barbecues and something. That's... Hey, don't worry about it. I worked up a fairly authentic smile. It seems pretty bizarre to me sometimes, and I was there. And kicking butt, Stevie Ray said. I gave her my "you are so not helping me" look, which she ignored. Yes, I might someday become their high priestess, but I'm not exactly the boss of my friends. Anyway, I would rather have no friends than friends like these. Time for a quick exposition. You deserve to be shown respect, Damien said in his schoolteacher voice. You're the only third former ever to have been made leader of the Dark Daughters and the only fledgling or vampire in history who has shown an affinity for all 5 of the elements. Face it, Z, Shawnee said, around a bite of salad while she gestured at me with her fork. You're special, Erin finished for her, as usual. One thing I'm not looking forward to is there are 12 books, so there's going to be 12 lots of exposition dumping at the beginning to remind us of how Zoey is the greatest greatest fledgling in all of vampire history. It's like how at the beginning of the Animorphs books, all like 50 or 30 of them, there's the same copy and pasted paragraphs telling us what's going on, the war, how they got the powers in the first place, that type of thing. The main difference though is Animorphs is a cultural icon and this ain't. It's time for the parent visits. I made my way over to the long linen draped table that ran the length of one wall. It was filled with expensive cheese and meat platters, desserts, coffee, tea, wine. I'd been at the house on night for a month and it still was a little shocking to me that wine is served so readily. Laughs in English.
Glenn, come on in, Glenn.
The official legal drinking age over in England is 18. The real drinking age is about 13. Part of the reason they do it is simple. The school is modelled after the European houses of nights. There you go. Apparently in Europe, what? Not in Europe. I don't even know where I am half the time. I still don't know what a Europe is. Apparently in Europe, wine with meals is like tea or coke with meals here, so no big deal. The upper part is a genetic fact. Vampires don't get drunk. Fledglings can barely get buzzed, at least on alcohol. Blood, unfortunately, is a whole other issue. So wine literally is no big deal here. Although I thought it would be interesting to check out how Oklahoma parents reacted to booze at school. Tories! I want to see the vampires on cocaine. I want to see it. Show me why. Why do I want to see it? It would be interesting. Am I going to have to do it? Shall I write a story about a vampire that just is on gear all the time? I've got nothing else to do. Zoey meets Stevie's mum. Oh, Zoey, it is just so nice to meet you. They're meant to have like Oklahoma accents. As if I can do that. I don't even know what Oklahoma is. Is Garth Brooks from there? Troil, what a name. Garth Brooks was born in Tulsa, Oklahoma. I am literally the smartest person I've ever met in my life. Then again, I don't get out much. And oh my, why is that like proper Southern American? Oh my, I can't do it. I can't do the accent. Don't sue me. You know what I mean? They like wearing the long petticoats, whatever they're called. Like, oh my, he shook his stick at him. That's a line from Anna Karenina. Your Mark? I've never seen him so upset. He was shaking his stick at him. Oh, to be in a 19th century Russian soap opera. Oh my, your Mark is as pretty as Stevie Ray said it was. She surprised me with a soft mum hug and whispered, I'm glad you're taking care of my Stevie Ray. I worry about her. Why does everyone exist? Just to gas Zoe up? Oh my god, I'm so hungry. I've barely eaten all day. I would kill to make some scones right now. When does Zoey Redbird, I remembered it then, take care of Stevie Ray? Her friends exist literally to only care about her. Zoe's mum and stepdad have turned up. Since she'd married John Heffer, my mum didn't have to worry about money. She lived in a gigantic house in a quiet suburban neighbourhood. Sorry, Miss Johnson. I see my parents now, so I better go. Oh, honey, I'd love to meet your mama and daddy. And like we were at any normal high school function, Miss Johnson turned, smiling to meet my parents. Mama and daddy. Sorry, I thought Zoe was 16, not 6. Zoe's grandma is also here, so Zoe's happy about that. Oh, Zoe Bear, she held tight to me. I have missed you, Yeezy. I smiled through my tears, loving the sound of the familiar Cherokee word for daughter. It meant security and love and unconditional acceptance. I know. Oh my god, it's hurting my head. I know. I wonder if I should do a video on every single time Yeezy is used in the House of Night. You must be Zoe's grandmama, Miss Johnson said when we'd quit clinging to each other. It's good to meet you. You have a fine girl here. Grandma smiled warmly and started to reply, but John interrupted in his usual I'm so superior voice. Well, actually, that would be our fine girl you would be complimenting. Zoe's mum notices her crazy mark and is like, bro, WTF? So Neferre, the high priestess of the House of Night Tulsa, jumps in with a, well, actually, your daughter is a hero. Neferre was what most adult vampires are, stunningly perfect. Why is Zoe in love with Neferre? When Neferre greeted my grandma, her smile widened and became more than just polite. I noticed that they shook hands in the traditional vampire greeting style, grasping each other's forearms. Because our vampires in this series aren't like those other vampires. It is an oath that is not a burden to fulfill. Zoe is such a special girl. Now Neferre's smile included me in its warmth. Then she turned to Stevie Ray. Maybe I should also do a every time Zoe is called special in the House of Night video compilation as well. Let me know if you want to see that. Because I looked it up and in this book alone, there's 22 mentions of Zoe directly being special. Cat? I don't remember anyone giving permission for Zoe to get a cat, John said, making me want to retch. Like anyone except Grandma had bothered to talk to me for an entire month. I hate this dude, obviously, but he's also written this way just to inspire sympathy in Zoe and her plight, but it won't work on me because I hate her too. John's tight lips registered his displeasure. No, we don't drink. With a superhuman effort, I didn't roll my eyes. Since when didn't he drink? I would bet the last $50 in my savings account that there was a 6-pack of beer in the fridge at home right now, and my mum used to drink red wine like Grandma. I even saw her throw Grandma a narrow-eyed, envious look as she sipped the rich wine Neferre had poured for her. But no, they didn't drink. At least not in public. Hypocrites. See? What a doofus. I'm sure no one cares about the plight of my failing body, but I've also got my last wisdom tooth has finally decided to come through, but at an angle, so it kind of hurts to just move my face in this general direction. It's not fun. I need to get that sorted out. But my boyfriend had his wisdom teeth removed, and he said that they obviously numb the area, but then they literally pull on your head. I don't want to do that. I don't want anyone pulling my head. Dogs in the neighbourhood just heard what I was complaining about then. But still, ain't that ridiculous? All my other wisdom teeth came through. Why is this... shouldn't have this happened literally a decade ago? Pathetic. There's exposition about what happened at the end of the last book, but flip if I'm recounting that. So just go watch my previous video for a quick 3-hour long recap. John and Neferre start arguing, so John and Zoe's mum leave forever. Heifer really went from "our fine girl" to "you're cursed and disowned" in the space of 2 pages. Grandma follows them. "Our Cherokee ancestors are proud of you too. I can feel it." Yeah, of course they are. I'm sure they literally have nothing better to do in the afterlife than to watch Zoe. I heard internet reception's pretty bad up there, so it's not like they can watch Netflix or whatever. Zoe asked Neferre if she ever forgave her father for being abusive, and Neferre basically says that she doesn't care anymore. Her words sounded strong and sure, but as I looked into the depths of her beautiful green eyes, I saw a flicker of something old and painful and definitely not forgotten, and wondered how honest she was being with herself. Very perceptive, very mysterious. Chapter 2. How have I been doing this for half an hour already? Wait, hold on a second, stop the video, because I have merch now. Yes, we've finally done it. I have merch, I have a merchandise store. We have 4 different designs and a range of products to choose from. This is the Don't Care, Didn't Ask. You know when someone just keeps going on and on and on about something you really don't care about? Well, hit them with one of these. My God, look at that colouring, the tasteful off-white thickness of it. Everything you see here is as eco-friendly as I could have made it. Items are recycled where possible, organic, sustainable, carbon neutral, the prints are all vegan. The supplier that I'm using even has a recycling scheme, so when your clothes get to the end of their life, you can send them back and then they can be remade and recycled into new things. Isn't that amazing? Not only that, but the clothes these factories are made in the UK, are powered by renewable energy. I know, I've outdone myself this time. So let's get on to the designs. We have the Don't Care, Didn't Ask. We have it in the relaxed jumper. Here we have a jumper, which in Japanese says "you may." In English, this means famous, as in, why am I not famous yet? We also have Alizee in katakana on various items. And the piece de resistance is our Die, Cry, Hate line, a parody of Live, Laugh, Love. We have a puzzle made of recycled cardboard featuring Die, Cry, Hate. For all the masochists out there who really enjoy really hard puzzles, look at all the white pieces, you'd be crazy to buy this one. Not only that, we have the tote bag to carry around all of your precious items in, and the tie-dye limited edition Cry, Die, Hate t-shirt. So where can all this be found? I'm glad you asked. The website is AY Clothing, as in LMAO, ayclothing.tmail.com. I'll put the links in the description. You can head over there if you would like to buy some merchandise to support the channel, or just tell the world what you really think of them. Don't care, don't ask, die, cry, hate. I'm really excited to be putting this merchandise out to the world. It's just we've been working on this for a really long time, and it's amazing to see it finally come to fruition. No, it's not true. Don't trust any YouTuber when they tell you they've been working years on something. But this has been fun. I have wanted to do merchandise for a while, but I wanted something that wasn't going to be the usual kind of thing. I wanted it to stand separately, on its own, as if it could be a brand of its own. Maybe we'll just see how it goes. But I also really wanted something to combat the live, laugh, lovers of the world. So here we are, my demotivational merchandise line. If it goes well, then we will do a second drop in the future, but only if it goes well. So, you know, let me know if you guys want there to be a second drop. I'll know that by if I make any sales. And the artist I use for this project is my good friend Jenny Pond. Her links will be in the description as well. So head over to ayclothing.tmail.com if you would like to buy some merchandise. Now, on with the video. I was incredibly relieved when Neferre said that there was no reason for me to stay in the reception hall. After the scene with my family, I felt like everyone was staring at me. I was, after all, the girl with the freaky marks and the nightmare family. Sounds like she should have her own show on the Disney Channel. You see that ultra special girl with all the tattoos and the nightmare family? That's me. And you're probably wondering how I ended up in this mess. It was a cool, clear November night. The moon was almost full, and its bright silver light was a pretty contrast to the antique gas lights that illuminated the courtyard with their soft yellow glows. I don't believe anyone that uses words like Jaihujic has this kind of internal monologue. For those of you that maybe didn't watch the first one, this book is written by a mother-daughter duo, and you can really tell when it's the mum writing. Zoe is daydreaming about dreamy Edward Cullen. Eric was the hottest guy at our school. Hell, Eric Knight might be the hottest guy at any school. He was tall, dark, and handsome, like an old-time movie star, without the latent homosexual tendencies. What? In case you're wondering, other vampire movie stars include Matthew McConaughey, James Franco, Jake Gyllenhaal, and Hugh Jackman, who is totally gorgeous for an old guy. I'm sure Hugh Jackman is flattered by this mention, what with being the ripe old age of 38 at the time. Zoey overhears Aphrodite being bullied by her parents. This is the big bad bully from the first book. Okay, I should leave. I should turn around and walk quickly and quietly out of the courtyard. Aphrodite was probably my least favourite person at school. Actually, Aphrodite was probably my least favourite person anywhere, but purposefully listening in on what was clearly an ugly scene with her parents was just wrong. So I tiptoed a few feet off the path where I could hide more easily behind a big ornamental bush and have a decent view of what was going on. Terrible. Awful. Man, her parents were really pretty people. Her dad was tall and handsome, the kind of guy who kept in shape, kept all of his hair, and had really good teeth. He was dressed in a dark suit that looked like it cost $1 zillion. Zillion? Jihujic? What else? Enormic? He also looked weirdly familiar, and I was sure I'd seen him on TV or something. Her mum was totally gorgeous. I mean, Aphrodite was blonde and perfect looking, and her mum was an older, richly dressed, well-groomed version of her. Her sweater was obviously cashmere, and her pearls were long and real. Every time she gestured with her hands, the Jihujic, pear-shaped diamond on her ring finger flashed a light as cold and as beautiful as her voice. Like a striking snake, her mum slapped Aphrodite across the face, so hard that the crack of skin against skin made me jump and wince. I expected Aphrodite to leap off the bench and go after her mum's throat. Please, we don't call her a hag from hell for nothing. But she didn't. She just pressed her own palm against her cheek and bowed her head. Right in the middle of Aphrodite getting physically assaulted by her mother, Zoey takes a second to just insult her. This book, man, this book. But it's not about me being on some kind of high school restriction, Aphrodite said, obviously trying to control her frustration and reason with them. I messed up. Big time. That's bad enough. But there's a girl here whose powers are stronger than mine. Even if Nephire gets over being mad at me, she's not going to give me back the Dark Daughters. Then Aphrodite said something that totally shocked me. Why was there no little flicky thing to indicate that the quote had ended? The other girl is a better leader than I am. I realised that on Samhain. She deserves to be the head of the Dark Daughters. I don't. Oh my god, did hell just freeze over? Even Aphrodite be simping. Zoey is a trash person who absolutely does not deserve all of her special powers. She was just handed to them for no reason. Everybody loves Zoey, even her supposed arch nemesis. And watch yourself. Your behaviour has to be beyond reproach. Maybe you should be more forthcoming about your visions, at least for a while, her father said. But you've told me for years to try to keep the visions to myself, that they are the source of my power. I vaguely remember in my first book review contesting this point that she hides her visions as it was just hearsay from Damien.
Dr. Kipper told me he'd sustained an injury on one of his fingers.
Objection, hearsay.
Wait, you asked the question.
Oh.
And if any of those idiots from Zoe's little gang told me the sky was blue, I wouldn't believe it. There was literally no real evidence of her doing this in the first book. So I think, this is my grand conspiracy theory, that this bit was just shoehorned in to make Damien and Zoey be right and Aphrodite be wrong. However, what it is showing us is that Aphrodite takes the advice of her parents, who she is desperate to please and has a toxic dynamic with. Abusive. So, and somehow, despite being abused by her parents, Zoey manages to blame Aphrodite for this. Aphrodite was bad news, and that I had to do something to stop her. Now I was hearing that some of the crap she'd been doing was because she let her hateful parents boss her around. Her mum and dad actually thought it was okay to keep quiet about information that could save lives, and her father was the mayor of Tulsa. No wonder he looked familiar. It was so bizarre it was making my head hurt. Yeah, rich coming from someone who has never actually properly stood up to John. We just saw her mother use physical violence on her, but Zoey thinks Aphrodite lets her parents boss her around. She is clearly being mentally and physically abused, which explains a lot of her bullying behaviour at school. And I didn't really pick up on this, but her father is the mayor of Tulsa. They're in like high society, high money. There's all kinds of ways with that money that they could bully their daughter. I'm proper hungry. I'm going to eat these cold meatless meatball things from Subway that I didn't eat earlier. Oh my god. Look at how big this jalapeno is. Where do you get off? The visions aren't your source of power, her dad was saying. Do you never listen? I said that your visions could be used to gain power for you because information is always power. The source of your visions is the change that's taking place inside your body. It's genetics, that's all. It's supposed to be a gift from the goddess, Aphrodite said softly. Aphrodite clearly just wants some authoritative caregiver to love her, whether that's her parents, Nephite or Nyx, which is a parallel to Zoe just wanting some decent parents too. But Zoe acts like a brat and is still the most specialist fledgling to ever have fledged. And yet when Aphrodite acts like a brat, she's the worst vampire at the school and shunned by everyone. Author favoritism. I thought about what I'd overheard all the way back to the dorm. I believed that I had nightmare parents, but they were like the Brady Bunch, Mum and Dad. Hello? I watch Nickelodeon reruns like everyone else. Hello? No one asked. Compared to Aphrodite's hateful, power freak parents. As much as I hated to admit it, what I saw tonight made me understand why Aphrodite acted like she did. I mean, what would I be like if I hadn't had Grandma Redbird to support and love me and help me grow a backbone these past 3 years? And that was something else too. My mum had been normal. Sure, she'd been stressed out and overworked, but she'd been normal for the first 13 of my almost 17 years of life. It was only after she married John that she had changed. So I'd had a good mum and a fantastic grandma. Oh my god, finally some self-awareness. I hope it'll last.
The suspense is terrible. He's gonna go this time. I hope it'll last.
Chapter 3. Yeah, Zoe, I understand what you're saying and all, but hello? Part of what you overheard was that Aphrodite is going to set you up so she can get you kicked out of the Dark Daughter's leadership. So don't go feeling too darn sorry for her. When did she even say that? She said that like she didn't deserve it. Shut up. Shut up, you mug, Stevie Ray. I know. I'm not getting all warm and fuzzy about her. I'm just saying that after overhearing her of her psycho parents, I understand why she is like she is. Stevie Ray rolled her eyes. And you say I'm too nice. I'm not being nice, I'm just being understanding. But understanding doesn't change the fact that Aphrodite acts like a hag bitch from hell. Unfortunately, the newfound maturity, insight and wisdom does not rub off on Stevie Ray and is probably about to revert any second now. Zoe goes to class. Okay, I know it's bordering on weird, or maybe queer is the better word choice, to continually notice how gorgeous a woman is when you're a woman too, but Nephite is so damn beautiful that it's like she has the ability to focus all the light in the room on herself. Zoe, are you okay, hun? Today was unusual. Instead of lecturing for most of the hour, and no, amazingly enough, Nephite was never a boring lecturer. She gave us an early assignment on the Gorgon, who we had been studying all week. We learned that actually she had not been a monster who turned men to stone with a glance. She had been a famous vampire high priestess whose, of course she was, goddess given a gift was an affinity or a special connection for the earth, which is probably where the turn to stone myth came from. I'm pretty sure if a vampire priestess got pissed enough and had a magical connection with the earth, stones do come from the earth, she could easily zap someone into granite. So today's assignment was to write an essay on human myth and symbolism and the meaning behind the fictionalization of the Gorgon's story. In this universe, everything interesting that has ever happened and will ever happen is retconned as, yeah, vampires, innit? But wait, hang on. Why would the mythos change, considering that vampires do exist in this universe and can set the record straight? There are vampires in this series who are thousands of years old. So why is there a misremembering of history? Ha, checkmate, book. Also, I like that Zoe tells us that stones come from the earth. Cheers, mate. Passed my geography GCSE thanks to you. I mean, I'm not really one to talk that they change everything into vampires in it because I think everything is literally ancient aliens in it, but still. Zoe wants to skip class to work out the new leadership ideas for the Dark Daughters, so she goes to the library. Rebel? Zoe just goes around doing what she wants? A school curriculum to follow? Who needs it? I have special tattoos that say otherwise. The library was in the front centre area of the school in a cool multi-level room that had been built to mimic the turret of the castle, which fit in well with the theme of the rest of the school. The whole thing looked like something out of the past. That was probably one of the reasons it had attracted the attention of the vamps 5 years ago. Then it had been a stuck-up rich kids prep school, but it had originally been built as a monastery for the St. Augustine People of Faith monks. It still is a stuck-up rich kids prep school, just with added blood drinking. Be quiet, 1%er. Meh-eh-uff-ow. 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 Meow-wow. That's what I think this cat sounds like. Meow-wow. Meow-wow. Put it down. I'm joking. Vegan, don't do that. Oh look, it's Zoe's cat, who is super special and different because she has this unusual meow. Cool, I don't care. Sappho, a tiny dark-haired vamp whose tattoos were elaborate symbols Damien told me were Greek alphabet glyphs, smiled fondly at Nala. Cats are such wonderfully interesting creatures, don't you think? I moved Nala to my other shoulder and she grumbled in my ear. They're definitely not dogs, I said. Thank the goddess for that. You shut your whore mouth. I pulled up Google and typed in private preparatory Tory schools. Shut up. Zillions came up. I started narrowing. I wanted exclusive and upper class. None of those stupid alternative academies that were really just holding pens for future criminals. Ugh. How can she complain about stuck-up rich kids but then get classist over alternative schooling? Why is she so consistent? Page after page. I swear no one actually edited this. I kept searching. Exeter, Andover, Taft, Miss Porter's. Really, that's the school's name. Kent. Number one, it's weird that we in the UK also have Exeter, Andover, Kent. Humans really are unimaginative. Why don't we have towns called Zork or Blorco or District 2934? Number two, what is funny about Miss Porter's? I don't get it. Someone tell me please in the comments below. Someone interrupt Zoe from her work. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you. It was just so unusual to see a student writing feverishly, whatever, in longhand rather than pecking away at the computer keys that I thought you might be writing poetry. You see, I prefer to write poetry longhand. The computer is just too impersonal. Oh my god, I should be one of those Audible people. Wouldn't that mean like Jeff Bezos will give me my paycheck? Do you know what? I'd take it. I should be... this is my calling in life, clearly. How can she hate stuck-up prep schools and yet give the time of day to this absolute Tory? Also, Zoe isn't like those other slutty girls because she can write with a pen. The bloke is Lauren Blake, vampire poet laureate, occasional teacher at the school, and total babe. He's 25 and Zoe is 16, and guess what ends up happening in, I think, the next book? I know... Oh, spoiler alert, sorry. I know, I said, and then I wanted to slit my throat. What an idiotic thing to say. What I mean is I know who you are. You're the first male poet laureate that they've named in 200 years. I realised I was still grasping his arm and let go of him. I'm Zoey Redbird. I'm Hermione Granger. And you are? Ron Weasley. Pleasure. Watch another film. Anyway, yeah, it's not just Zoey Redbird that gets the super special treatment in these books. It's also anyone she's interested in. His smile made my heart flop around inside my chest. I know who you are too. His gorgeous eyes, so dark that they looked black and bottomless, sparkled mischievously. You're the first fledgling to have a coloured-in, expanded mark, as well as the only vamp, fledgling or adult, to have an affinity for all 5 of the elements. It's nice to finally meet you, face to face. Well, Lauren's not as special as Zoe, is he? Okay, I needed to think and talk. Be normal. Forget that he was easily the most heart-stoppingly beautiful man I'd ever been near in my entire life. He's a professor at the school, just another teacher. That's all. Yeah, right. Just another teacher who looked like every woman's dream of the perfect man. And I did mean man. Eric was hot and handsome and very cool. Thanks, Kanye. Very cool. Lauren Blake was a whole other universe. A totally off-limits, impossibly sexy universe that I was not allowed access to. As if he saw me as anything but a kid anyway. Please. I'm 16. Okay, almost 17. But still, he's probably at least 21 or something. Oh my god, so old. That's not the point. He was just being nice. More than likely, he wanted a closer look at my freaky marks. He could be collecting research for a highly embarrassing poem. It's a good job Zoe is also the most beautifulest fledgling ever because she is not going to win people over with this buffoonish personality. Zoe's amazing idea of changing the Dark Daughters is to implement a prefect and council system, like what human schools have. Like what my own human school did have. What a revolution! Surely the big, smart, better than humans vampires could have thought of something similar ages ago. Some geniuses. The Dark Daughters and Sons should swear to be authentic for air, faithful for fire, wise for water, empathetic for earth, and sincere for spirit. Shut up! For shut up! Then slowly he reached out and traced one finger over the fluid line of my tattoo. I wanted to tremble under his touch, but I couldn't move. Beautiful and intelligent and innocent, he whispered. Then his incredible voice recited, the best part of beauty is that which no picture can express. Well, that's not vastly inappropriate now, is it? Aphrodite's voice interrupts, so Lauren stops being a predator for a moment, but Aphrodite saw it all. How to catch a predator, vampire style. Chapter 4. Zoey doesn't tell her friends what happened with Lauren. Zoey tells them instead her dark daughter's leadership plan. No one said anything. I was just starting to worry when Stevie Ray threw her arm around me and hugged me hard. Oh, Zoey, you're going to be an awesome high priestess. Damien was all misty-eyed and his voice cracked adorably. I feel like I'm in the court of a grand queen. How is someone getting misty-eyed over prefect and council implementation? Go outside, touch grass, get a grip. Or you could just be a great queen, Shawnee said. Her Majesty Damien. Hee hee, Erin said, giggling. Get it? He's a queen because he's gay. Ha 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 ha. Whatever we call it, it's still abnormal that we're so young, which means we need 2 older kids on the council with us. There was a pause and then Damien said, I nominate Eric Knight. Shawnee rolled her eyes. Erin said, okay, how many times do we have to explain this to you? The boy is not on your team. He likes breasts and vaginas, not penises and anus. Wait, oh my god, Damien likes men? Why did no one ever tell me this? Boy, there's egg on my face. Zoey wants one of Aphrodite's inner circle to be on the council too to be mature. Or you'll be letting a viper into our midst, Damien said quietly. Correct me if I'm wrong, Damien, but aren't snakes closely allied with Nyx? Reptilians. I spoke quickly, following the intuitive feeling that was prompting me. Haven't they gotten a bad reputation because historically blah 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 blah? It's useful that Zoe's special intuitive feelings are just Nyx telling her what to do or say, like a puppeteer. Instead of having plaques to mark the names of the council and prefects, they agree on handprints in cement. Like the stars do in Hollywood, Stevie Ray said. Okay, it seemed kind of cheesy, which meant I couldn't help but like it. The idea was like us, cool, unique, and bordering on tacky. Only douchebags refer to themselves as unique and cool. I don't make the rules, that's just how it is. Usually, these people that do that are also the opposite of unique. Zoey and her group might as well just wear those normal people scare me t-shirts that you pick up in Camden Market. Zoey goes off to tell Neferre what she's decided, hoping to get ass pats or something, I don't really know. But Aphrodite is at Neferre's office telling her something. What was Aphrodite talking about? Ah, hell. Could she have run to Neferre about seeing Lauren touch my face? I looked around the deserted hall. I should get out of here. But no damn way was I going to leave if that hag was talking about me, even if it seemed Neferre wasn't believing anything which she was saying. I mean, I'm not being funny. It literally would be for your own good for someone to tell an adult that a teacher is trying it on with a 16-year-old student. Okay, sure, she's just a hag, whatever. Perhaps it would be wiser for you to think that because of your selfish actions in the past, Nyx is withholding her power from you because you are no longer in her favour, and that what you are now seeing are false images. I never heard the kind of cruelty that filled Neferre's voice. Please don't say that, Neferre, Aphrodite sobbed. Please don't tell me that Nyx has rejected me. I don't have to tell you anything. Search within your soul. What is it telling you? It's telling me that I've made mistakes, but not that the goddess hates me. Aphrodite was crying so much that she was getting harder and harder to understand. Then you should look closer. Aphrodite's sobs were wrenching. I couldn't listen anymore. Leaving my earring, I followed my gut and got the hell out of there. So a head teacher is telling an unloved teen who gets abused at home that even their completely real, factually real and accurate goddess actually hates her too. This is a very abusive use of her power. There's definitely nothing wrong with Neferre. Chapter 5. We're 14% of the way through this book, and yet it's only been a day in book time. The pacing in these books are terrible. Everything is just crammed together so much. Nobody's days are this eventful. I refuse to believe it. Zoey has horse riding lessons, then she expositions about the ghosts she thought she saw in the first book. I mean, they sound more like zombie vampires than ghosts, considering they were solid, but okay. It had not been long after the second kid had drowned in his own lung tissue and bled out right in front of my lit class. I shuddered, remembering how awful it had been, especially because of my gross attraction to his blood. Anyway, I'd watch Elliot die. Seeing somebody else die had been really, really, really awful. For me. Like someone wrote Tana Mojo as the main character.
Me.
Not my totally delicious new boyfriend, Eric. A few chapters ago, it was my almost boyfriend, and now, without seeing or speaking to him, it's my new boyfriend. Wow, it really is like Tana Mojo is the main character of this book. Zoey still hasn't told her friends that she has early onset bloodlust for no reason other than to create internal conflict and drama. They literally worship the ground she walks on. If she told them she likes blood, they would probably start drinking it too to try to impress her. Zoey bumps into Lauren randomly, so they start flirting. Writing haiku, he lifted his hand and I've noticed for the first time that he was holding one of those cool, ultra expensive, leather-bound writer's journals. Zoey is very much a snob in denial. Or a hypocrite, maybe both. If someone has something expensive and she likes that person, then it's cool, ultra cool, whatever. If she doesn't like them, they are a stuck-up prep. This book really is like the successor to My Immortal. Except My Immortal was actually really funny. Oh yeah, I never finished that, huh? Oh well, big whoop. What are you going to do? Sue me? What are you going to do? Fire me? Yeah, I've left my door open to keep the room cool because I have a big studio, professional light, right? Like a professional light, but it warms up the room and it's hot at the moment. But the problem is moths are going to come in. So if you see me getting besieged by loads of flies, don't worry about it, mate. It's all right. Still looking into my eyes, he lifted his hand so that it brushed my shoulder. Nix has marked you there. It didn't sound like a question, but I nodded. Yes, I would like to see it if it wouldn't make you too uncomfortable. Predator alert! She slips her jacket down to show off her... Why is that so hard to say? She slips her jacket down to show off her shoulders. She sells seashells on the seashore. The shells that she sells are seashells, I'm sure. She slips her jacket down to show off her shoulders. Oh my, what would the vicar say? You scarlet woman. Lauren should be looking at my partially bare shoulder, gawking at the tattoos there that not one other fledgling or vampire that I knew of had ever had. But he wasn't. He was still staring into my eyes, and suddenly something happened within me. I stopped feeling like a goofy, jittery, dorky teenage girl. The look in his eyes touched the woman inside me, awakening her, and as this new me stirred, I found a calm confidence in myself that I had rarely known before. Slowly, I reached up and pushed the small strap on my ribbed cotton tank over my shoulder so that it joined my half-discarded jacket. Then, still meeting his eyes, I swept my long hair out of the way, lifted my chin, and turned my body slightly, giving him a clear view of the back of my shoulder, which was now completely bare, except for the slim line of my black bra. Excuse me, Zoey, you have a boyfriend that you are in a monogamous dynamic with? Mm-hmm. He said my name like a prayer. His voice mixed with his touch made me shiver as goosebumps lifted on my skin. I'm sorry, you must be cold. Gently but quickly, Lauren pulled up my tank strap in my jacket. I wasn't shivering because I was cold. I heard myself say the words and couldn't decide if I should be proud of myself or shocked at my boldness. Can someone please tell the 16-year-old that it's past her bedtime? He recites a haiku to her that he didn't even make up himself, straight off rips off someone else, and she gets horny. His eyes never left mine as he recited the poem. His voice, which was usually so practiced, so perfect, had gone all deep and rough, like he was having a hard time speaking. As if his voice had the ability to heat me. I was so flushed that I could feel my blood pounding fiery rivers through my body. My thighs tingled and it was hard to catch my breath. If he kisses me, I might explode. The thought shocked me into speaking. Oh dear. I could feel myself leaning into him, and I swear his body responded. I may not be highly experienced, and hell yes, I'm still a virgin. Am I tough enough? Am I tough enough? Hell yes, I'm tough enough.
But am I tough enough? Tough enough? Hell yes, I'm tough enough.
Always in my heart. He's not dead. He's just, I don't know what he's doing. Oh my God, get Ed Millibay on the podcast when. But I'm not an utter moron most of the time. I know when a guy is into me, and this guy, for that moment, was definitely into me. I covered his hand with my own, and forgetting about everything, including Eric and the fact that Lauren was an adult vamp and I was a fledgling, I willed him to kiss me, willed him to touch me more. We stared at each other. I mean, the flirting wasn't bad enough before. You have just cheated on him. If you're there being like, I want him to kiss me, but nothing happens. He walks off and Zoey sees this as a rejection, so she gets big mad, goes back to her dorm. But that's already she's cheated on this geezer. Chapter 6. Still mumbling to myself about men and mixed messages. Men being the key word here, Zoey babes. He is a man, an adult, too old for you, but she is being manipulated by him, so she is very much the victim here. As the adult and teacher, he should be shutting down any flirting, but he is a predator, so he won't. I entered the front room of the dorm and wasn't surprised to see Stevie Ray and the twins clustered together watching one of the TVs. Clearly they'd been waiting for me. Clearly they don't have lives of their own. They're watching the news and a 17-year-old footballer has disappeared. Well, he used to drag me to parties with him and all the football jocks knew each other, so Chris and his cousin Brad were at a bunch of them. Rumour has it they've graduated from getting trashed on cheap beer to getting trashed on cheap beer while they pass around nasty joints. I looked at Shawnee, who had been showing an unusual amount of interest in the newscast. And before you ask, yes, he is as cute in real life as he was in his picture. Damn shame when something happens to a cute brother, Shawnee said, shaking her head sadly. Damn shame when something happens to any cute guy, no matter what colour, twin, Erin said. We shouldn't discriminate. Cuteness is cuteness. Oh my god, no, not a little bit of cheeky marijuana, you crackhead scumbags. Disgusting. And yeah, too bad if you're butters, no one cares about you then. The world according to Zoe's friends. Zoe has a feeling that Chris is dead, and because her feelings are just Nick's telling her what's up, we can safely assume he is in fact dead. R.I.P. mate. Naturally, I couldn't eat. My stomach was killing me. Again. You're picking at your excellent food, Damien said. I'm just not hungry. That's what you said at lunch. Okay, well, I'm saying it again, I snapped, and was instantly sorry when Damien looked hurt and frowned down at his yummy bowl of Vietnamese noodle salad called bun chag yao. The... Thanks? Cheers? Oh, it's pork noodles. The twins raised one eyebrow each at me and then went back to focusing on using chopsticks correctly. Stevie Ray just stared at me, silent worry clear on her face. I ain't even mad about this. It is annoying as shit when people feel the need to commentate on how you're eating. Butt out. None of your business. Focus on your own food. Aphrodite returned Zoe's earring that she dropped outside of Nefere's office when she was eavesdropping. She turned and walked out of the dining hall through the glass doors and into the courtyard. Even though she was carrying a tray with her uneaten dinner on it, she didn't even pause to look at the table where her friends sat. I noticed that they glanced up as she passed, but then they looked hastily away. None of them met her eyes. Aphrodite ate outside in the dimly lit courtyard where she'd been eating for most of the past month, alone. Aphrodite's ex-friends were more than keen to join in with her with the bullying when she was ringleader, so this is weak behaviour from them. Typical. They're using her as a scapegoat. Bad home life, bad mentorship, now bad friends. Aphrodite is actually a more sympathetic character than Zoe, even if it is down to some of her own doing. Nefere appears to invite Zoe to dinner with her. The four of them gave her hero-worshipping grins and quick assurances that they were cool with whatever. I know it's ridiculous, but their easy release on me made me feel abandoned and insecure. But that's stupid. Nefere is my mentor and High Priestess of Nyx. She's one of the good guys. That is because your friends are two-dimensional cardboard cutouts with no deeper thoughts of their own. Chapter 7. I'm smashing this, mate. I'm smashing this. 71 pages I've got of this. We're on page 19. I am working that out in my head. If God wanted us to do sums in our head, they wouldn't have invented calculators. Quarter of the way through. The Vamps dining hall wasn't a cafeteria. It was a very cool room that was directly above the students' dining hall. It, too, had a wall of arched windows. Wrought iron tables and chairs were set up on the balcony that overlooked the courtyard below. The rest of the room was tastefully and expensively decorated with a variety of different sized tables and even a few booths made of dark cherry wood. There were no trays here, and no serve-yourself buffets. Linens, china and crystal were set tastefully on the table, and long, thin white tapers burned happily in crystal holders. Stuck-up preps, haters gonna flame me for this! Then, with a secret smile to me, Nefere added, and please bring Zoe a glass of any brown pop we have, so long as it isn't diet. Thank you, I told her. Just try not to drink too much of that stuff. It's really not good for you. She winked at me, making her admonishment a little joke. The vampires all want the fledglings to be really healthy and conscious of what they eat to help them better survive the change into adult vampirehood, because if their body rejects the change, they die. That's it. Game over. See you later, mate. Quarter of the way through. Come on. I feel like a marathon runner. Gotta pace myself. But yes, keep them healthy as possible so they can... So why on earth is soda so readily available for the students? It has zero nutritional value. Zero. I love the stuff. I love it. But it is pure sugar and poison. Maybe. Who knows? Jury's still out there. The authors just wanted Zoe to have this quirk of drinking full sugared soda. Very quirky, very random. I drink full sugared soda. Why is no one being nice to me? Do you know what I hate? When you go out to a restaurant or whatever and you say, oh yes, can I have a Pepsi, please? And they're like, full fat or diet? There is no fat in soda. It is pure sugar. Thank you very much. That sugar will only convert to fat if you don't burn it off. So I'm just out there doing cans of Coke and running up the street. I'm an idiot. I grinned at her, happy that she remembered what I like, and I started to feel more relaxed. This was Nephire, our high priestess. She was my mentor and my friend, and in the month I'd been here, she'd never been anything but kind to me. Yeah, she sounded scary as hell when I overheard her of Aphrodite, but Nephire was a powerful priestess, and as Stevie Ray kept reminding me, Aphrodite was a selfish bully who deserved to be in trouble. Hell, she'd probably been gossiping about me. Nephire was telling Aphrodite that their very real goddess hated her. That goes beyond a simple reprimanding. And I love how everything is so Zoey-centric. Oh, obviously she's gossiping about me, the cow. Except everyone else in this book is very Zoey-centric, so can I even really criticise this thought process? If everyone is always thinking about you, are you wrong for just assuming that everyone's always thinking about you? I don't know. They discussed the missing teen. Well, he wasn't really a friend of mine. We'd been at some of the same parties, but I don't really like to party, so I didn't know him that well. So quirky. Unlike all those other whores, Zoe doesn't like to party, but unlike those biblical prudes, she doesn't stay at home praying either. Nephire tells Zoe to listen to her intuition. For a moment, her green eyes flashed dangerously. I took a big drink of my brown pop, not wanting to meet those scary eyes. When she continued, she sounded like herself again. All hint of danger was gone from her voice, and she was just my mentor and friend. Yeah, she's not a walking red flag, is she? Zoe admits she overheard Nephire and Aphrodite arguing. A warning skittered down my spine. This isn't intuition, this is Nyx puppeteering Zoe. Nyx gave Zoe the full cheat codes to vampire life, and I don't know why. Nephire straight up tells Zoe what's going on with Aphrodite, which is very inappropriate of her. Student-teacher confidentiality. Much ever heard of it, mate? She shouldn't be gossiping about Aphrodite's issues to Zoe, no matter how much trouble Aphrodite is in, no matter how special Zoe is. She's still a student. It's important to have those boundaries. Thank you for coming to my TED Talk. Anyway, Nephire says that Nyx has supposedly withdrawn Aphrodite's visions, which is just a bit rude, to be honest. I put Aphrodite out of my mind and outlined my new plans for the Prefect Council and the Dark Daughters. Nephire listened attentively and was openly impressed by my research and what she called a logical reorganisation. Kisses her ass for the bare minimum. If I was Zoe, I would actually feel offended that everyone claps like seals every time she wakes up and gets out of bed. It's patronising. Nephire agrees to Zoe's ideas, and there will be a full moon ritual on Sunday where Zoe is doing something. I gulped and nodded. I was already way too aware that I was the main attraction in a freak show. Stop it with the faux self-consciousness, you liar. I also want the Dark Daughters to get involved with a community charity. This time Nephire's brows totally disappeared into her hairline. Yeah, right. As if I'm going to believe that. You mean community, as in the human community? I do. You think that they will welcome your help? They shun us. They abhor us. They are afraid of us. Let me do that again. They shun us. They abhor us. They are afraid of us. Maybe that's because they don't know us, I said. Maybe if we acted like part of Tulsa, we'd get treated like part of Tulsa. You know something's going wrong when Zoe is the voice of reason for once. Help! Chapter 8. Zoe leaves the dinner, omitting knowledge of the ghosts around the school. I just wanted to be me for a while. When is she anything but herself? I am going to be sick. Why? Lauren left a poem for Zoe in her locker. Sorry, is he 14? A 14-year-old nonce? Who'd have guessed it? They said it couldn't be done. Zoe decides to confide in Stevie Ray about Lauren. He, touched me. I'll take things that sound terrible out of context for 500. Tell me about it. When he smiles at me, I can hardly breathe. And get this, he recited a poem to me, I said. It was a haiku a man wrote about looking at his naked lover in the moonlight. Moonlight, not moon night. You have got to be kidding. Stevie Ray started fanning herself with her hand. Get to the touching part. No. Also, Zoe is meant to be in a monogamous relationship. Her friends are as bad as she is. Are you telling me Lauren Blake, vampire poet laureate and hottest effing male on 2 feet, helps you off with your jacket like an old-time gentleman? And just like an old-time gentleman, he's creeping on a girl far too young for him. Zoe, you're a student. He's a teacher. This is a vamp school and a whole different world from life at a normal high school, but some things don't change. Students are off limits to teachers. Finally, thank you. She sighed dreamily. It's like your Romeo and Juliet with the whole forbidden lovers thing. Stevie Ray is hopeless. Then she brings up Eric. He's your boyfriend, Zoe. Not officially, I said sheepishly. Well, shoot. What does the kid have to do to make it official? Get down on one knee? It's been pretty obvious this past month that y'all are dating. I know, I said miserably. Could Lauren and I see each other secretly? Did I want to? As if she could read my thoughts, Stevie Ray said, you could sneak around and see Lauren. Yeah, pretty sure none of my close friends or good friends, any friends, pretty sure I've never been told to go cheat on a boyfriend even when I was 16, but okay. What if he does, Z? Stevie Ray was studying me carefully. You know, you're different than the rest of us. No one has ever been marked like you before. No one has ever had an affinity for each of the 5 elements. Maybe the same rules don't apply to you. Yeah, it's totally fine for a teacher in his 20s to bang an underage student just because she has some pretty tattoos. Get real. I didn't want to play by different rules. I shook my head and said through clenched teeth, I don't want it to be like this, Stevie Ray. I just want to be normal. Yeah, well normal. I know, Stevie Ray said softly. But you are different. Everyone knows that. Plus, don't you want Lauren to like you? You are different is the shovel the cast duo are repeatedly hitting me over the head with. Hell, that reminds me. Aphrodite saw Lauren touching me. That hag followed you out to the wall, Stevie Ray squeaked. No one saw us out there. Aphrodite walked into the media centre when he was touching my face. Blah, 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 blah. Her class and the door was cracked, so I could overhear what was going on inside. Aphrodite was in there. That bitch was telling on you. Good. Stevie Ray looked like she'd like to break Aphrodite in half. Stevie Ray's fervent overprotectiveness of Zoe is incredibly unhinged. Get a life. Yes. No. Oh, I don't know. Look at that ad-lib in there. I am a professional actor. Actoire. It's not just Neferre. It's like it's a mixture of stuff. Everything coming down at once. I'm coming down at once. Chris, Lauren, Aphrodite, Neferre. Something's off, Stevie Ray. She looked confused and I realised she needed an oaky analogy to get it. You know how it feels right before a tornado hits? Well relatable for someone in England. I mean, when the sky is still clear but the wind's starting to cool off and change direction, you know something's coming, but you don't always know what. That's how things feel to me right now. Why was that really patronising? I hope someone brought me some brown pop. You know, Z, you're weird about your brown pop. Whatever, Miss Lucky Charms, I said, pushing her out the door. Hey, Lucky Charms are good for you. Really? So tell me, what are marshmallows? A fruit or a vegetable? Both. They're unique. Like me, watching Fred the movie was easier than reading this. The twins, naturally, had commandeered 2 identically big chairs they pulled over by the couch. Naturally, they have assimilated and become one with the hive mind of the Borg. They're about to watch a movie, but the news says that Chris's body has been found in a river and another football player has gone missing. Oh my god, I'm hungry. The 2 of them were always at parties together. Everyone knew them because they're cousins, even though Chris is black and Brad is white. So, the cast duo really thought that they were breaking down barriers, didn't they? I could barely hear them through the buzzing in my ears. I need to go for a walk. I'll go with you, Stevie Ray said. Stevie Ray is either a golden retriever reincarnated into a human or in love with Zoe because the book is constantly like this. Zoe runs off and has a bout of anxiety. She decides to go to the stables to brush Persephone, the horse that she looks after, but she hears a strange sound. It is literally non-stop action in these books. Chill out. Go visit Hogsmeade or La Push or something. Take a day off, mate. She sees a person wailing and approaches them. Bad idea. But wait. It's just Aphrodite, having a vision. Her face was covered with tears. Come on, Aphrodite, you're having a vision. I need to get you to Neferre. No, she gasped. No, don't take me to her. She won't listen to me. She doesn't believe me anymore. I remembered what Neferre had said earlier about Nyx withdrawing her gifts from Aphrodite. Why would I even mess with her at all? Who knew what was going on with Aphrodite? She was probably making some pathetic play for attention, and I didn't have time for this crap. Except, Aphrodite was completely by herself until Zoe came along, so how was she attention-seeking then, you idiot? You have to listen to me. If you don't, your grandma will die. What a cliffhanger. Shame I don't give a shit. Chapter 9. I'm having fun, I don't care. Zoe stays with Aphrodite. Water! It's awful. So brown. So cold. Why is this the William Shatner School of Acting? It's all confusion. Can't get the door open of the Saturn. I felt a horrible jolt. Grandma has a Saturn. Well, Neferre was clearly lying about Aphrodite losing her visions then. Also, imagine you're an alien with 0 frame of reference for human culture, and you read the sentence. You'd be like, WTF, how does an old lady own Saturn? Behave. Aphrodite's vision is that Zoe's grandmother is in her car on a bridge when it collapses and she dies. Fear for Grandma was like a boiling pain inside me. I grabbed her arm and stood up, pulling her up with me. Let's go. She tried to jerk away from me, but she was too weak. I held on to her easily. Where? To Nefere, of course. She'll figure this crap out and you'll be damn sure to talk to her. Nefere, who is clearly a liar and clearly bad news by now. Zoey, get a grip. Stop being a worm. Aphrodite refuses and makes Zoey owe her a favour in exchange for helping her out but not going to Nefere. I felt a jolt of surprise. Aphrodite was right. My birthday was in December. I had a sucky December 24th birthday, so I never really got to celebrate it. Everybody always wanted to mush it in with Christmas. Even last year when I was turning 16, I should have had a big cool party. I didn't get to do anything special. It was really annoying. I shook myself. Now was not the time to get lost in my lifelong birthday complaint. Verbal diarrhea. And again, the book is like this constantly. Zoey decides to tell her grandma to not go out that day to save her, and then decides to have a go at Aphrodite because Aphrodite doesn't think of a way to prevent those other people who she doesn't recognise from dying on the bridge. You know, having crappy parents isn't an excuse to be heartless. Heartless, here? I said. She turned away and I saw her pause. What would you know about it? About your parents? Nothing much, except that they're controlling, your mum's a nightmare. About screwed up parents in general? Plenty. I've been living with pain in the ass parent issues since my mum remarried 3 years ago. It sucks, but it's not an excuse to be a bitch. Try 18 years of a lot more than just pain in the ass parent issues, and maybe you'll start to get something about it. Until then, you don't know shit. Then, like the old Aphrodite I knew and couldn't stand, she flipped her hair and stalked away, wiggling her narrow butt like I cared. You care enough to be staring at her ass. Zoey gets her phone out and starts thinking about Heath, her ex. Anyway, even though his messages had dwindled down from like a zillion, meaning 20 or so, a day to 2 or 3, why not just say 20 or so then? Stop wasting words. Zoey rings her grandma and warns her to stay at home and away from bridges. I love you too, you Etsia Gea. I wish I was on that bridge. Chapter 10. Zoey tells her friends what's going on. It's about time Nefere started seeing her as the bitch she is, Stevie Ray said. Hateful cow, Shawnee said. Hags from hell, Erin agreed. Super mature. I heard that her visions aren't really believable anymore because Nyx has withdrawn her favour from Aphrodite, Damien said. Maybe that's why she made you promise not to go to Nefere, because this is all something she made up and she wants you to freak out and do something bad that will either embarrass you and make you look bad or get you in trouble. Damien really annoys me, and I tried to work out how. Why? I think it's because he's presented as this really smart dude with this very impressive vernacular. I know what synonyms are. Cinnamon buns. But he has this unwavering trust in authority, Nefere. Even though anyone with eyes can see that Nefere is kind of unhinged. Nefere has said something with no evidence. Damien automatically believes it. Unwavering trust. They can complain all they want about Aphrodite and her friends being bullies, but they don't make this leap, and it's not even a leap, it's a one small step in logic, one giant leap for this stupid series. Nefere was aware of what Aphrodite was up to, and she was allowing it to happen, even though she's head teacher of this school, high priestess, whatever. So she's hardly a good person. He's just not as smart as the book wants us to believe, and he wasn't there to see the vision or hear the details himself, but he's ready with a bunch of unsolicited, uninformed opinions. He is everything that I dislike in a person. He is basically anyone I hate on Facebook, which is everyone on there. Stevie Ray decides that a bomb threat is the best course of action. What a sentence. They decide that they will call someone with a threat of blowing up the bridge an hour before it is due to collapse. This will close off the bridge and keep everyone safe. Tell them you've planted a bomb under the bridge because, Damien hesitated. Because of pollution, Stevie Ray chirped. Pollution? Shawnee said. I don't think it should be because of pollution. I think it should be because you're sick and tired of government interference in the private sector's lives, Erin said. I just blinked at her. What the hell did she just say? A Ron Swanson, I see.
I have a permit.
This just says I can do what I want.
Excellent point, twin, Shawnee said. Erin grinned. I sounded just like my dad when I said that. He'd be proud. Well, not about the pretending to blow up a bridge part, but the other stuff, yeah. We understand, twin. Shawnee said. We get it. Your only personality trait is being twins. Little thought experiment. Close your eyes. Breathe in through the nose, out through the mouth. Do that a few times. Clear your head. Clear everything. Imagine this. Imagine I'm hanging out with you and I'm speaking to you. And every sentence that I say, I end with saying your name. Hello, Dave. How are you, Dave? Do you know how annoying and unnerving this would be, Dave? Because, Dave, that's not how people speak, Dave. Okay, how about I say it's because of government interference and pollution in our rivers? That'll be the reason the bomb's on the bridge. They looked at me with blank expressions. I sighed, because of the pollution in the river. Respectfully, yeah, I'm not a scientist, obviously, but wouldn't planting a bomb on a bridge cause even more river pollution? No? Anyone? Crickets? They want to ring the FBI using a disposable phone, but they find the FBI's number in a phone book. I don't know if that's how that works, but okay, sure. Nefere suddenly appears, flanked by 2 human men to see, who else? Zoey, of course. They go to the dorm library. The 2 men are detectives investigating the death of Chris. They ask Zoey questions. So you weren't with either boy? I frowned. No, I was kind of dating the Broken Arrow quarterback. That's the only reason I knew about any of those Union guys. I smiled, trying to lighten things up. People think Union players hate BA players. It's not really true. Most of them grew up together. A bunch of them are still friends. Miss Redbird, you've been at the house all night for how long? The short cop asked, as if I hadn't tried to be pleasant. Well, it's his job to find out the truth, not to make friends. Not everyone needs to like you, you know. Kayla Robinson and Heath Luck, I said. Yeah. Heath's last name really is Luck, but the only thing he was particularly lucky about is not getting picked up DUI. Lol, got him. Roasted. Wrecked. No, let me rephrase the question. Nothing unusual happened when you saw Kayla and Heath, Martin said. I swallowed. No? Which wasn't actually a lie. Apparently it's not unusual for fledglings to experience a vampire's bloodlust. I shouldn't so early in my change, but my mark shouldn't also be filled in, and I shouldn't have had the added decorative tattooing of an adult vampire either. Not to mention the fact that no other fledgling or vampire had ever been marked on the shoulder and back like I had. Okay, I'm not exactly a normal fledgling. Stop derailing the story for this internal babble over how special and unique you are. The detectives ask if Zoey drank Heath's blood, and she realises that Kayla probably wasted police time by telling them some gibberish. All the flies coming in to attack my light. What am I going to do? Nothing. Who am I to say that they can't come and attack my light? Who am I? Who am I? Wasted police time by telling them some rubbish. So when she saw him kiss me, she got pissed and started yelling at me. Okay, I admit I didn't act very mature. I got pissed back at her. I mean, it's just wrong when your best friend goes after your boyfriend. Anyway, oh, Heath's a boyfriend now that it's convenient, because usually she's calling him her almost ex-boyfriend or something. The police question her more and then hand her a pendant that the necklace the leaders of the Dark Daughters wear. Whatever, I don't care. Chapter 11. The necklace was found near Chris's body, which was covered in scratch and bites and drained of all blood. The detectives suspect a vampire attack because who wouldn't? In a world where vampires who drink blood actually exist, it's not that unreasonable to think that a vampire might have something to do with it. But Nefere shuts them down. The police are done with Zoey but want to question Lauren Blake. I'm sorry, Lauren left yesterday before dawn on the school's private jet. He has gone to our East Coast school to support the students. I'm sorry, a private jet? And Zoey doesn't think her school is for stuck-up rich kids? Detective Karl Marx gives Zoey his business card just in case. I sat there trying to collect my tumbling thoughts. Nefere had lied, and not just by omission, about me drinking Heath's blood and Heath almost getting killed during the Samhain ritual. She lied about Lauren. He hadn't left the school yesterday before dawn. At dawn he'd been at the east wall with me. I clutched my hands together to try to keep them from shaking. Uh-oh, what could this possibly mean? Erin, Shawnee and Stevie Ray all thought that somehow Aphrodite was behind the cops getting the necklace and maybe even the killing. Damien and I weren't so sure. Their hatred of Aphrodite is actually bordering on slander and delusion at this point. It is one thing to be an obnoxious school bully. It is an entirely different thing to kill someone in cold blood, drink said blood, dump their body in a river and frame someone else for it. Zoey still hasn't told her friends about her drinking blood. She actually finds that she misses Eric. Whoop-de-doo. Still don't care. Zoey has 4 hours until she has to call the FBI, but she needs to sleep. Imagine setting an alarm to do that and then missing that alarm. Zoey thinks about her cat. But I decided I was just obsessively adding to my stress level. The cat was as fat as a butterball turkey. I mean, her tummy looked like she had a pouch and could hide a herd of baby kangaroos in there. That's probably why she wheezed. Carrying around all that cat fat couldn't be easy. Even the cats are getting body shamed in this book. I closed my eyes and started counting sheep. Literally. It was supposed to work, right? So I made up a field in my head with a gate and had a cute fuzzy white sheep start jumping over the gate. I think that's the proper way to count sheep. Sleep sheep. Sleep sheep. Hee hee. Zoey dreams that Nefere is the shepherd herding, football-playing sheep, and then she eats one, but the sheep turns into Chris Ford, the boy who died. What could this dream possibly symbolise? Dreams aren't that symbolic either. Like, not that in your face. Come on. Zoe wakes up at 12:30 p.m. and she can't get back to sleep, so she decides to go out. She puts on concealer to cover her fledgling tattoos. OMG, what concealer? It must be so full coverage to cover up a vampire tattoo. Is it from Morphe? Are there vampire influencers? Are there vampires doing This wig is trying to kill me. Are there vampires doing affiliate links with ASOS on their Instagram? I don't know, I'm giving up with that. It was no wonder that before I'd been marked, I thought I'd never seen a fledgling. I probably had, but A, he, she, they had all their marks covered, and B, he, she, they understood that they couldn't just loiter around like typical teenagers. He, she, they, very inclusive and ahead of its time, have to give them that. Instead I whispered, "You look really young," to my reflection. Jailbait. Through my dresser drawers until I found my old Borg Invasion 4D hoodie and put it on, along with my comfy black Pumas and with my OSU truckers hat securely on my head and my cool Maui Jim sunglasses. I was ready. My name is Ebony Darkness Dementia Ravenway. What do we think? My immortal must have been a troll. Someone who puts dementia, like, as a name, must be trolling. Come on. But it's funnier if it's not a troll. What a hard life I lead. My vintage 1966 VW Bug was easy to find amid the slick, expensive cars the vamps preferred. Wow, so humble. I'm not like the other preps. Hee hee. Zoe goes shopping. Not that I expected to run into anyone I knew. I was the one my high school friends had called weird and out there, because I like to shop in chic midtown stores versus the loud, boring, food court smelling mall. Such a pick me. She's not like the other girls because she goes to different shops. She goes shopping and then she goes to Starbucks. Oh my god, yeah, so quirky and eccentric, getting a double whipped caramel orange mocha frappe latte espresso chino. But then she sees Heath. Chapter 12. Heath was taping some kind of flyer to the light post. I could see his face clearly and it surprised me how handsome he looked. Okay, sure. I'd known him since 3rd grade and watched him go from cute to gawky to cute to hot, but I'd never seen this look on him. His face was set in grim, non-smiling lines that made him appear much older than 18. It was like I was catching a glimpse of the man he would turn into, and it was a nice glimpse. He was tall and blonde with high cheekbones and a really strong chin. Even from that distance, I could see the thick eyelashes that were surprisingly dark and knew the gentle brown eyes they framed. Zoe, leave men in general alone for 5 seconds. Heath has quit drinking and smoking. He immediately starts going on about how Zoe and Heath should be together. Change the channel, please. Give me a chance to get you back, Zoe. I shook my head, even though his words tugged at my heart. No, Heath, it's impossible. Why? He slid his hands across the table and put it on top of mine. The men in these books all need prison. Zoe tells Heath that they imprinted and that's why he still wants her. Oh, Zoe, you crack me up. He squeezed my hand. I've been crazy about you since I was 8. Like that had anything to do with you sucking my blood. Heath, believe me, we've started to imprint. I'm cool with that. He grinned at me. Will you be also cool with me outliving you by several hundred years? Dork-like, he wagged his eyebrows at me. I can think of worse things than having a hot young vampire chick when I'm like 50. Prison. Heath doesn't hang out with Kayla anymore because Kayla keeps being rude about Zoe. I'm sorry about Chris. I laced my fingers through his. I know you guys were friends. Yeah, like this is going to help the imprint. Zoe realises the time and needs to get back to school. Heath walks her to her car like a gentleman, but then gets in and pulls out a blade with the intention of having Zoe drink his blood. She repeatedly tells him to go, but he cuts his own neck anyway, and she suddenly can't help herself. Chapter 13. She starts drinking his blood. His head fell back and I heard him groan yes. One of his hands cupped my butt and the other one went under my sweater to squeeze my breast. So Heath here has basically coerced Zoe. She is a young vampire with bloodlust that she can't control yet, and he has deliberately cut himself so she will want him and engage in this intimate act with him. The bloodlust sounds like a drug addiction, and he's triggered her. But then again, because I was thinking about this, he is imprinted with her, which could also be why he's acting this wacky. It's very messy. Tell me your thoughts. His touch only made it better. Heat slammed through my body, setting me on fire, like someone else was in control of my movements. My hand slid from Heath's shoulder down his chest to rub over the hard lump that was in the front of his jeans. I sucked on his neck. Calm down, or that won't be the only thing that you'll be sucking. Now I need prison. Thankfully, they get interrupted. Someone banged on the passenger's side window. Hey, y'all can't make out here. They talk, disheveled. I'd had the whole I'm not ready to have sex with you yet conversation with him when I was 15, and he was almost 17. He then said that he understood and was willing to wait. Pfft, not ready to have sex by 15, you prude. But I'm joking. Doesn't matter. Nothing matters. Don't worry. Do what you want in this life. Have sex, don't have sex. Who cares? Big deal. Heat death of the universe. The big freeze. Whatever. They agree to meet up again, but Zoe ponders whether she will lose her virginity to him at some point if they keep doing this, and then she goes back to the school. She calls the FBI. I want to report a bomb. I kept talking, not giving him time to interrupt me, but speaking slowly and clearly because I knew I was being recorded. My group, Nature's Jihad. In one paragraph, there are 4 lots of brackets of Zoe giving us extra info that no one asked for. Zoe also calls the press about the bomb. Down with government intervention and pollution and up with the power of the people, I yelled, then immediately hung up. Mockingbird deleted scenes. Yeah, I said faintly. I forced myself to stand up and go to the door. I opened it to see Stevie Ray's rumpled up face peering up at me like a sleepy countrified rabbit. Not to be picky, but wouldn't you say that most rabbits are countrified? You know, due to them living in the countryside. Stevie Ray wakes up properly. Did you go somewhere? Yeah, I said reluctantly. I couldn't sleep, so I went to the American Eagle at Utica and bought a new sweater. I pointed at the soggy American Eagle bag I tossed in the corner. You should have woken me up. I would have gone with you. If she hadn't sounded so hurt, I would have had more time to think. This is very needy and codependent behaviour. I could never deal with someone like this. Zoe relays what happened with Heath. We, the audience, don't need a recap as we only read it in the previous chapter and yet we're given one anyway. We're really spoiled by the cast duo. I still like him, I admitted. I knew it. She did a little bed bounce. Man, you have like a zillion guys, Z. What are you going to do? Stevie Ray only exists as Zoe's sidekick and it is pathetic. Paffetic. Plus, you just know that if Aphrodite had a zillion guys, they would be calling her a slut for years, nay, decades, nay, centuries. They are vampires. Are you going to tell Eric about him? I don't know. Do you like Heath more than Eric? I don't know. What about Lauren? I don't know. Come on, you two. Everything will seem better after you've had your Count Chocula. And brown pop, I said. Stevie Ray screwed up her face like she just sucked a lemon. For breakfast? I have a feeling it's a brown pop for breakfast kind of day. I drink brown pop for breakfast and I don't get fat. Tee-hee. I'm not like those other lame girls. Tee-hee. I'm a Gilmore girl. Hee-hee. Chapter 14. Thankfully, we didn't have to wait long before we heard something. Stevie Ray, the twins and I were watching the Dr. Phil show, and at exactly 3:10, Stevie Ray and I were on our second bowls of cereal, and I was on my third brown pop. Not even I would do that. Fox News, like in the morning, broke into the programme with a special report. Ah yes, health and wealth, cereal and Coke, the breakfast of champions. How again is sugary cereal okay for the health-obsessed vampires? Did the cast duo think it wouldn't be quirky enough for Zoe to enjoy, I don't know, all bran instead? A nice bowl of tree bark for breakfast. The news report on the bomb threat by Nature's Jihad. Imagine if they'd done this and it caused some actual real copycat bombings within the book, obviously not in real life. They'd feel bad then, wouldn't they? A bomb threat. That was smart. The words were spoken so softly and I was so focused on TV that it took a second for Aphrodite's voice to register with me. When it did, I looked up quickly. She was standing to my right, just a little behind the couch Stevie Ray and I were sitting on. I expected her face to be settled in its usual haughty sneer, so I was surprised when she nodded slightly, almost respectfully at me. What do you want? Stevie Ray's voice was uncharacteristically sharp. Aphrodite's trying to be nice, you weird little sidekick. Go away. From an ex-refrigerator? Nothing, she sneered. I felt Stevie Ray stiffen beside me at the slur. Refrigerator. They're really trying to make it the new mudblood, aren't they? I knew she hated the reminder that she had allowed Aphrodite and her inner group of Dark Daughters to use her blood in the ritual that had gone so totally wrong last month. Being used as a refrigerator was not a good thing, and being called one was an insult. I literally do not care if Stevie Ray got insulted or feels offended. It is the consequences of her actions of being rude, unprovoked, big whoop. Hey, hag bitch from hell, Shawnee said in a sweet, friendly tone. That reminds us, seems the new Dark Daughters in a group, which would so be us, and not you and your skanky friends, Erin inserted, has an opening for a new refrigerator for the ritual tomorrow, Shawnee continued smoothly. Yeah, and since you're not shit anymore, the only way you'll get into the ritual is as that night's snack, Erin said. Are you here to apply for the job? If you are, sorry. There's no telling where you've been, and we don't like nasty, Shawnee said. Aphrodite... Oh my god. There's so many flies from the outside on the ceiling. Oh no. I'm going to get in trouble. Well, it's a few weeks later. I caught COVID. I still don't really want to be doing this right now. I feel a tiny bit dizzy, but I want to make money. So, yes, that's the only way you could get me to read these books again. Sorry. Money. No, I'm kidding. Anyway, I don't really remember what I got up to. Let's just repeat this bit. They probably think Zoe's friends are likeable and sassy. They've also shown that Erin and Shawnee are willing to be just as nasty as Aphrodite's previous friends by mentioning having a refrigerator. It's supposed to be a derogatory term, so it doesn't make them good people to be like, hey slut, you can be our refrigerator, tee hee 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 hee. Zoe tells everyone off and they all look shocked by this because they're nitwits. I watched her leave, and just before she went out the front door, she glanced back at me, met my eyes and winked. What was that about? She looked almost playful, like we were friends and kidding around, but that wasn't possible, was it? Aphrodite is a much more interesting and complex character over Stevie Ray. I would rather have someone around who could stand up to me and my bullshit and tell it to me straight, rather than someone who constantly simps over everything I do, remembers every single little detail about my life just to be in my good books. I don't remember being this annoyed by Stevie Ray when I first read these books, but my god, she is annoying. Did I really only get up to this bit? Ugh. Stevie Ray, she's not my friend. I don't know. I floundered, trying to put the instinct that so often whispered to me and goaded me to do or not to do things into words. I guess I really do feel sorry for her sometimes. And I also think I understand her a little. Aphrodite just wants to be accepted, but she goes about it all wrong. She thinks manipulation and lies mixed with control can force people to like her. It's what she saw at home, and that's what made her like she is now. Sorry, Zoe, but that's bullshit, Shawnee said. She's way too old to be acting a fool just because she has a screwed up mummy. Zoe's friends actively try to stop her from being a more empathetic person, which is not good. And also, I didn't realise that Shawnee had a degree in child trauma and psychology. Oh wait, she doesn't, because she's an idiot. Please, just please, with the shut up up with the blame. Oh, 3 minutes into this. I gotta get this done. I should have got this done 6 months ago. Please, just please, with the blame my mummy because I'm a bitch crap, Erin said. Not to be mean or anything, but you have a screwed up mama too, Zoe, and you didn't let her or your step loser or a dad mess you up. Wrong, okay? Stevie Ray said. And Damien has a mama who doesn't like him anymore because he's gay. Yeah, and he didn't turn into a hateful slut hag, Shawnee said. The sheer irony in calling someone hateful, quickly followed by slut hag. The misogyny is real. She's not even actually done anything you could consider sluttish, if you want to think in these antiquated women-shaming terms. She tried to get back with an ex-boyfriend, and we have to call it that because the book doesn't recognise it as assault, so neither can we, within the context of the story. Out of the context of the story we can, but all she tried to do was get back with Eric, and she wore slightly revealing dresses. That is literally it. Meanwhile, Zoe has a boyfriend and something going on with at least 2 other men, but it's not polyamory because no one's been made aware of each other. She is just a cheat. And historically, we would call cheating being a slut, regardless of gender. But no, not Zoe, because she's perfect, okay? Satisfied that the bridge is closed, they go to decorate the rec hall for the ritual tomorrow. I can't believe I didn't even get to the bloody ritual part. That's when the best bit of the book happens. So why don't you just take your favourite pair of jeans and see if you can reproduce the pattern yourself? It can't be that hard, you know, Damien said logically and very gaily. Go away, Alizee said, very logically and straightly. It begins snowing. Might as well get started setting things up, and I might as well pretend like I knew what the hell I was doing. Zoe could actually be quite relatable if she wasn't a walking deus ex machina. She hears Neferre. The snow is quite beautiful, isn't it? The kids standing around the windows answered Neferre with respectful yeses. I was surprised to feel a hint of annoyance, which I instantly squelched as I stopped and turned to go back to greet my mentor. Like baby ducks, my gang followed me. Ironic to feel annoyance at behaviour to another that she herself has become accustomed to. I don't know if that sentence actually made sense. Zoe, good. I'm glad I found you here. Neferre spoke with such obvious affection for me that the annoyance I felt at her interruption vanished. Neferre was more than my mentor. She was like a mother to me, and it was selfish of me to be irritated that she had come looking for me. You have known her for a month. I have coconut milk in the fridge that is longer than this relationship. Chill out. Nefre introduced a new student. Did I really not get this? Oh. She motioned, and a kid I hadn't noticed till then stepped forward slowly. He was cute in a studious kind of way, with tousled, sandy blonde hair and really pretty blue eyes. Clearly he was one of those geeky kids who is a dork, but a likeable dork with potential. Translation, he bathes and brushes his teeth. Plus, he has good skin and good hair and doesn't dress like a total loser. What? The new fledgling is called Jack Twist. He is a poet. Nefere is being nice to Zoe. I was overwhelmed by her thoughtfulness and couldn't help but compare it to the cold, unconcerned way my mum treated me. Hell, the truth was my mum didn't actually care enough to treat me like anything anymore. I'd only seen her that one time in a whole month, and after the stupid scene her loser husband had caused with Nefere, it looked like I wouldn't be seeing her again soon. Like I cared? No. Not when I had good friends and a mentor like Nefere to be there for me. Like I care? No. Except when I do pretend to care because it inspires audience sympathy in me, but okay. Nefre leaves them to get things ready for the ritual, and some bloke called Drew comes over checking out Stevie Ray. And then I tested them. Except my ritual is going to be different. Damien can show you what I mean. I waited for the disdainful looks and the sarcasm that the jock-like guys tended to throw at Damien and the few other openly gay kids at the school, but Drew just shrugged and said, "Cool with me, just tell me what to do." The vampires are so psychic and powerful and empathetic, except when it comes to stamping out homophobic bullying. Damien has died and gone to not straight boy heaven, that would make sense, and gone straight to gay boy heaven. Shawnee, shut up. Shawnee said as soon as we were out of earshot. Hey, it's about time those kids stopped acting like... Why can't I read this? Hey, it's about time those kids stopped acting like ignorant rednecks and behave like they have some sense, I said. She doesn't mean that, even though we agree with you, Erin said. She means little Mr. Jack, the cute, gay, new kid Twist. Now, why in the world would you think he's gay? Stevie Ray asked. Stevie Ray, I swear you have got to broaden your horizons, girl, Shawnee said. Okay, I'm lost too. Why do you think Jack's gay? I asked. Shawnee and Erin shared a long-suffering look, then Erin explained. Jack Twist is yummy Jake Gyllenhaal's totally gay cowboy character from Brokeback Mountain. And just please, anyone who chooses that name and looks all geeky cute like that is totally, completely playing for Damien's team. It's really progressive to assume someone's sexuality just by looking at them. The fact that they are correct and he is gay is besides the point. They're not getting that one. I'm not giving it to them. Also, just so you guys know, if two gay characters meet in a book, they have to get together. That's the rules. I don't make this up. Chapter 15. They watched the news. The bomb threat has been called a hoax, and the bridge didn't collapse because river traffic had been halted, so no barge barged into it. I nodded numbly, and that proves that Aphrodite's vision was true. Not that that's good news, Stevie Ray said. I think it is, I said. As long as Aphrodite lets us know about her visions, we can take them seriously. Damien shook his head. There has to be a reason Nefere believes Nyx has withdrawn her gift from Aphrodite. It's too bad we can't tell her about this. Then maybe she'd explain what's going on, or maybe even change her mind about Aphrodite. Every time he simps for Nefere, it really rubs me the wrong way. Some genius always defers to authority. You are free to do as we tell you. You are free to do as we tell you. Why did I write that?
And congratulate you on living in the land of freedom. Here you go, America. You are free to do as we tell you.
This Drew guy flirts with Stevie Ray. I honestly couldn't give less of a toss. Damien and Jack are chatting. Again, I still don't care. From what I had overheard, they were both into the same kind of books and were debating which of the Harry Potters was really the best. Clearly, they were dorkishly alike. Read another book. Also, this insistence that I like Harry Potter, so I must be a dork, he is super contrived. The success of Harry Potter is just about as mainstream as you can get. It is not dorky to enjoy something so mainstream. It's ubiquitous with modern pop culture. Do you remember when Thor asked Erin out, said one of Drew's friends, whose name I think was Keith. Really? You've become a vampire and you can choose your own name and you called yourself Keith? Yeah, she called him a lemur. You know, like the moronic lemurs in that Disney movie, Stevie Ray said, laughing. And Walter went out with Shawnee a total of 2.5 days. Then, right in the middle of Starbucks, she called him a Pentium 3 processor, Damien said. I gave him a totally clueless look. Z, we're up to Pentium 5 processors now. Erin still calls him Slowest McSlowenstein whenever she sees him. The twins just sound like a pair of bitches. There, I said it. There is nothing throughout either of these two books that I've read so far that implies that they are nice people in any way. They are always so rude and sarcastic to everyone. Maybe that's fun to read about, but in reality, it would get really tiring after a day. The more I learn about Zoey's gang, the less easy I find it to be sympathetic to them getting bullied by Aphrodite. They have a snowball fight, but then Zoey goes to the library. I hadn't just been making an excuse to get out of the snowball war. I had actually been planning to ditch dinner and spend a few hours in the media centre. Tomorrow I'd have to cast a circle and lead a ritual that might be as ancient as the moon itself. Yeah, sounds legit. But please, just please, as the twins would say, being able to tap into the power of the 5 elements was pretty bizarre. I mean, my life wasn't an X-Men movie, although I'd definitely like to spend some quality time with Wolverine. Zoey, leave men alone. I wanted foundation and tradition so that under my leadership, the Dark Daughters would know something more than Aphrodite's way too modern and hoish influence. Shut up. She starts thinking of Lorraine and gets horny. I smiled and felt my cheeks get warm and then realised I was sitting there grinning and blushing like a... almost caught me book. Ha! About a guy who was too old for me and a vampire. I mean, he was totally gorgeous, but he was 20-something. A real adult who knew all the vampire secrets about bloodlust and, well, lust in general. A real adult, as opposed to Zoey, who is a teenager in body and a child in mind. I tapped my pen against the blank notebook page. Okay, I'd been kissing and messing around a little with Eric's son during the past month. Yes, I liked it. No, it hadn't gone very far. One reason was that despite recent evidence to the contrary, I didn't usually act like a slut. I didn't ask, mate. I didn't ask. Another reason was that I was still way too aware that I'd accidentally watched Aphrodite, Eric's very ex-girlfriend, on her knees in front of him trying to give him a blowjob. And I didn't want there to be any confusion on Eric's part that I was definitely not a stank slut like Aphrodite the hoe. I ignored the memory of my rubbing the bulge in Heath's pants. You're the one cheating on Eric with 2 different people. Don't think Aphrodite did that. Also, she spends this whole segment blathering on about her dating life instead of getting on with her work. I didn't ask for any of this. Zoey realises that she can't talk to any of her friends or adults about her conundrums. The only person she could talk to is Aphrodite. That is, if she can spare a moment from calling her a stanky ass slut hoe bag every 2 seconds internally. I had a feeling about Aphrodite that was telling me there was a lot more to what was going on with her than the fact that she could definitely be a hateful bitch. Zoey is more hateful than Aphrodite. If you don't believe me, just watch my first video on this. Zoey picks out a random book at the library, right? And Lauren left a poem in there for her. How? A bit dodgy too, because anyone could have come along and just picked that up and they would have seen this and they would have known it would have been about Zoey. For Zoey, alluring priestess, night can't cloak your scarlet dream, except desire's cool. My God, having COVID was better than reading this. Chapter 16. Zoey has figured out what to do for the full moon ritual. The school grounds were completely blanketed by a comforter of downy white. The wind had whipped up and visibility was terrible. The gaslights that marked the obscured path were not much more than glowing pinpoints of yellow against the white darkness. Again, you can really tell when the mum starts writing. As a fledgling, I already had quite a bit of an adult vampire's natural protection against the cold, which used to creep me out. I mean, it made me think of cold dead creatures who existed by drinking the blood of the living. Totally gruesome, even if I was bizarrely drawn to the thought. Now I knew more about what I was becoming, so I understood that my protection against the cold was more about a heightened metabolism than being undead. Vampires aren't dead, they're just changed. Why do vampires have heightened metabolisms? I need to know. Does this mean they can actually eat more than the average human and their BMR just burns it off? Tell me so I can be jealous. Zoey sees another person out in the snowstorm. An urge to follow him hit me with such strength that I gasped, almost as if I had no will of my own. Cheers, Nix. Zoey follows them. They are headed in the same direction that the other 2 zombie fledglings she saw were previously at. Zoey sees the mysterious figure meets another person, Nephro. Good God. Nephro is angrily speaking to the other person, but Zoey can't hear them over the wind. The other person is Elliot, who is meant to be dead. If you disobey me again, you will feel my wrath, and the wrath of a goddess is terrible to behold. Elliot cringed away from Nephro. Yes, goddess, he whimpered. It was him. I knew it was. Even though his voice was rough, I recognised it. Somehow Elliot had not died, and he had not changed into an adult vampire. He was something else. Something terrible. Even as I thought how disgusting he was, Nephro's expression softened. I do not wish to be angry with my children. You know that you are my greatest joys. Revolted, I watched as Nefre moved forward and caressed Elliot's face. His eyes began to glow the colour of old blood. Old blood? What, so brown? And even from a distance, I could see that his entire body was trembling. Elliot had been a short, pudgy, unattractive kid with too white skin and carrot red hair that was habitually frizzed out. He was still all those things, but now his pale cheeks were gaunt and his body was hunched, as if it had curled in on itself. So Nefre had to bend down to kiss his lips. Totally grossed out, I heard Elliot moan in pleasure. She straightened and laughed. It was a dark, seductive sound. Please, goddess, Elliot whimpered. Even though Elliot died horrifically, has been brought back to life horrifically against the laws of nature, to be made into some sort of vampire minion slave, Zoe still takes the time to dab on his appearance. It's kind of based. You know you don't deserve it. Please, goddess, he whispered. His body was shivering violently. Very well, but remember, what a goddess gives, she can also take away. Unable to stop watching, I saw Nefere lift her arm and brush back her sleeve. Then she ran her fingernail up her forearm, leaving a slender scarlet line that immediately began to bead with blood. I felt the draw of her blood. When she held out her arm, offering it to Elliot, I pressed against the rough bark of the tree, forcing myself to stay still and hidden as he fell to his knees before her and, while he made feral grunts and moans, began to suck Nefere's blood. I tore my eyes from him to look at Nefere. She'd thrown her head back, and her lips were parted, as if having the grotesque Elliot creature suck the blood from her arm was a sexual experience. Why isn't Zoe calling Nefere a nonce? She's like 200 years old. This boy's like 16. Deep within me, I felt an answering desire. I wanted to slice open someone's skin and... No! I ducked completely behind a tree. I would not become a monster. I would not be a freak. I couldn't let this thing control me. I mean, all fledglings are eventually going to drink blood, so this insistence that she's a monster or a freak is contrived. Chapter 17. Zoe runs back to the dorm where everyone talks about the totes epic snowball fight. We knocked the crap out of Damien and his boyfriend, Shawnee said. He's not my boyfriend, Damien said, but his little smile seemed to add an unspoken yet to the end of the sentence. He has known this new boy for like 2 hours. I think so, I paused and took a long breath. Then I met Damien's questioning gaze steadily. Damien, has there ever been a case of a fledgling who seemed to have died, but later was found alive? When a fledgling's body starts rejecting the change, there is no stopping it. That's clear in all the books. It's also what Nefere has told us, Zoe. I'd never heard him sound so serious. What is wrong? Ooh, Nefere this, Nefere that. I hope Nefere tells them all to jump off a cliff. Please, please, please tell me you're not feeling sick. Stevie Ray practically sobbed. Stevie Ray is more obsessed with Zoe than Edward is with Bella. At least Edward and Bella got to bone at the end and have freaky little vampire babies. This is just sad. Zoe tells her friends that she saw Elliot and Elizabeth, but doesn't mention Nefere's involvement. Damien says he will research more on fledgling ghosts, and then the news comes on. The body of a second missing teen called Brad was also found, with blood loss from multiple lacerations. Zoe gets upset by the news and runs to her room, but Stevie Ray asks to join her to go to sleep because she has a headache. Uh-oh. No, I don't mind, I said quickly. I glanced at her. She did look kind of pale. Stevie Ray was so sensitive that even though she didn't know Chris or Brad, their deaths were clearly upsetting her. Add to that my announcement about ghosts, and the poor kid was very scared to death. I put my arm around her and gave her a squeeze as we came to our door. Hey, everything's going to be okay. Yeah, I know. I'm just tired, she grinned up at me. But she didn't sound as perky as usual. Zoe is so self-involved that she doesn't realise what's happening to Stevie Ray. Chapter 18. Zoe is looking for her vampire sociology textbook. Nefere had wanted to pull me out of my third former SOC class and move me into the upper level section of sociology, but I'd managed to talk her out of it, saying that I was already different enough. I didn't need anything else to make me more of a freak to the rest of the kids here. All of her classmates think that she is so magical and gifted and talented and special. None of them are going to be thinking, oh my god, what a freak. Zoe looks up bloodlust in her book. Though the frequency of need differs depending upon age, sex and general strength of the vampire, adults must periodically feed on human blood to remain healthy and sane. It is therefore logical that evolution and our beloved goddess Nyx have ensured the blood drinking process is a pleasurable one, both for the vampire and the human donor. As we have already learned, vampire saliva acts as an anticoagulant for human blood. Vampire saliva also secretes endorphins during blood drinking, which stimulate the pleasure zones of the brain, human and vampire, and can actually simulate orgasm. Evolution and an all-knowing, all-powerful goddess? Really putting all of your eggs in one basket, huh? That makes no sense. Covering all bases, that makes more sense. Basically, feeding on a human is very much linked to sex and sexual pleasure. Sorry, my face is itchy. Vampires have speculated for centuries that the ecstasy of blood drinking is the key reason humans have vilified our race. Humans feel threatened by our ability to bring them such intense pleasure during an act they consider dangerous and abhorrent, so they have labelled us as predators. Maybe they are predators, who knows? We're getting a really one-sided view here, aren't we? Zoe reads about imprinting. There the text went off on a tangent about how Bram Stoker had actually been imprinted by a vampire high priestess, but that he had not understood her commitment to Nyx had to come before their tie, and in a fit of jealous anger had betrayed her by exaggerating the negative aspects of an imprint in his infamous book, Dracula. Sure. Fledglings can't imprint on one another, so it's fine for them to experiment with each other. Adult vampires can imprint with fledglings, so it's strictly prohibited. It is also basically nonsense for an adult vampire to be doing sexy stuff with a fledgling, but the book fails to mention that part. It was still snowing, and in the hesitant light of pre-dawn, the world looked innocent and dreamy. Hello, Mother Cast. Rosy-fingered dawn broke across the horizon. Zoe deliberates lying to everyone so she can keep her imprint with Heath and keep seeing him. I knew my thoughts were wrong. I knew that seeing both of them was dishonest to both Eric and Heath, but I was so torn. I was really starting to care about Eric. Plus, he lived in my world and understood issues like the change and embracing a totally new way of life. Thinking about breaking up with him made my heart hurt. But thinking about never seeing Heath again, never tasting his blood again, that made me feel like I was having a panic attack. Oh yeah, but Aphrodite's the slutty one, huh? Zoe then somehow astral projects, because of course she does. What can't she do? Over to Heath, who is sleeping, but he feels her presence. Zoe! This time Heath's eyes were fluttering open. He moaned again and his hand moved down to the hard lump in his pants and he began to... Straight to the point. Twilight could never. In fact, it took us 4 books for them to have sex, and that is more graphic than anything that happens in Twilight. My cell phone bleeped with the tone that said I had a text message. My hands were shaking as I flipped it open and read, I felt you here. Promise you'll meet me Friday. Heath is texting one-handed, very romantic. I wanted Heath. I needed Eric. I was intrigued by Lauren. I was bored by this book. Zoe goes to sleep. Chapter 19. Zoe and Stevie Ray oversleep for 12 hours. Shawnee wakes them up by being sassy because that is her sole personality trait. I could not believe I'd totally blown off the fact that Eric was performing the Shakespearean monologue he'd taken to the competition. Actually, I hadn't even worried about how he'd place, which was definitely not good girlfriend etiquette. Of course, it wasn't like I didn't have other things on my mind, but still, everyone thought I was the lucky girl who had caught Eric after he'd escaped from Aphrodite's nasty spiderweb, and by web, I mean crotch. Hell, I thought I was lucky to have him, something that had been hard to remember when I was sucking Heath's blood and flirting with Lauren. See, look, Zoe's calling her a girlfriend to Eric in between cheating on him. Sorry about oversleeping, Z. Stevie Ray came out of the bathroom in a gush of steamy air, towel drying her short blonde curls. She was dressed a lot like I was, and she must still be half asleep because she looked pale and tired. She gave a huge yawn and stretched like a cat. They make it to Eric's performance. Eric stayed out here waiting for you until just a second ago, Damien said. I was glad to see he was sitting beside Jack. The two really did make a cute couple. They have now known each other for a day. I bought chewing gum earlier and it's longer than this relationship. Eric probably kicked butt. He's awesome, Stevie Ray whispered back. Then she yawned again and coughed. I frowned at her. She looked like crap. How could she still be tired? Sorry, she smiled sheepishly. I got a frog in my throat. If Zoe so much as sneezed, everyone would be like, oh, MFG, oh my God, are you dying? Are you rejecting the change? Oh, wait. But no one here is bothering to notice that Stevie Ray isn't well. Speaking of women of colour, the next performer was Dino. She was a drop-dead mixed girl with to-die-for hair and skin the colour of vanilla latte. She was also one of Aphrodite's inner circle she used to be. I think there's a typo in my edition. Drop-dead mixed girl. I'm assuming they mean drop-dead gorgeous. And also, to-die-for hair is not a good description of hair. Also, skin tones are Starbucks drinks. What Starbucks drink do you reckon my skin tone would be? Steamed milk? Watching her, I was so dazzled by her talent that I started to wonder how much of her hateful haggishness had been because of Aphrodite's influence. What, so because she's talented, she can't possibly be a mean person? Oh yeah, we've never heard of any famous actor being a diva on set, have we? Are you joking?
I was looking at the light.
Oh, good for you! And how was it?
Since I'd taken over the Dark Daughters, none of Aphrodite's close friends had caused any problems. Actually, now that I thought about it, I realised that Terrible, Warlike and Wasp had been keeping a pretty low profile. You do realise it's still not a positive thing to allow yourself to be influenced by terrible people. Hey, I'm not judging too much. I think we've all been there. If you're influenced by bullies and join in with bullying, then you're still a bully, right? They were also all friends just last month. So there's hardly been time for actual growth or change. It takes months for this type of thing usually. They are probably keeping a low profile because Neferre has a new favourite fledgling and they know they won't be able to get away with the bullying anymore. So basically Zoe's idiot. She doesn't know what she's talking about. Eric won the Shakespeare monologue competition. Of course he did. He's Gary Stu. How could I have forgotten how utterly gorgeous he is? Tall, taller than Cole even. He had black hair that did that adorable Superman curl thing and eyes so brilliant blue that they were like staring into a summer sky. Like the other performers, he was dressed all in black with the fifth former insignia of Nyx's golden chariot pulling a trail of stars over his left breast as the only break in the dark colour scheme. And let me tell you, he made black look good. Black makes everyone look good. The way my heart just stopped then. He walked to centre stage, stopped, smiled directly and obviously into my eyes and winked at me. He was so damn hot I thought I would die. I wish he would. That is such an Ebony Darkness Dementia Raven Way thing to say. I love it. Ugh. So when he performs, he doesn't just perform, he becomes Othello. But I just don't see how this is interesting to read. Obviously I cut it out, but I think there's like paragraphs of him doing his little monologue and it's not, if I want to see Shakespeare, I'll go watch it. I don't want to, do you know what I mean? The audience erupted into cheers and a standing ovation. Stevie Ray stood cheering next to me, wiping her eyes and laughing. Why was she crying? That was so romantic, I almost peed my pants, she yelled. Edward Cullen could never. And then Professor Nolan was back on stage, closing the performance and directing everyone to the wine and cheese reception set up in the lobby. Is Boris Johnson there? Zoe sees Edward. Eric. I couldn't do anything but stand there and smile like a moron as Eric reached us. With a very naughty sparkle in his eyes, he took my hand, kissed it, and then made a sweeping bow and proclaimed in his actor's voice that carried all around the room, "Hello, my sweet Desdemona." Shut up. Go away, prison. I'm going to call the police on this book. They hug. When I heard a familiar hateful laugh, Aphrodite, looking amazing in a short black skirt, stiletto boots and a slinky sweater, was... Why do I need this description of her outfit? It is like my immortal, oh my god. Was laughing as she walked. Actually, she twitched more than she walked. I mean, the girl could seriously shake her butt. I think Zoe fancies Aphrodite. It's like when Bella always calls Rosie perfect. If I dislike someone, it doesn't matter how they look. I don't look at them and go, oh my god, how beautiful. I just think, ugh. But I also dislike everyone, so I think ugh about everyone. Over Eric's shoulder, I met her eyes, and in a silky voice that would have sounded friendly had it not been coming from her mouth, said, "If he's calling you Desdemona, then I suggest you be careful. If it even looked like you're cheating on him, he'll strangle you in your bed. But you'd never cheat on him, would you?" She flipped her long, blonde, perfect hair and twitched away. God, I wish that was foreshadowing. Everyone but me. All I could think about was the fact that she'd seen Lauren and me in the media centre, and that it definitely looked like I was cheating on Eric. Was she warning me that she was going to tell Eric? Yeah, it looked that way, because you were cheating on Eric. I hugged him again, loving his clean smell and how his height made me feel small and delicate. I don't want to say that. I'm just a little baby. I don't know why I wrote that. Totally, and so does boyfriend over there. Shawnee jerked her chin in Cole's direction. He's one fine Romeo, Eric grinned. I'd tell him you said so. You can also tell him that if he wants a little brown sugar in his Juliet, he need look no further than right here. She pointed at herself and shimmied her hips. Stop, go to church. How? You can't call other people hoes. Like, if you're acting like that, you just... Stop, go to church. Church, temple, mosque, Scientology department, take your pick, just go. Twin, if Juliet had been black, I do not believe things would have come to such a shitty end between her and Romeo. I mean, we would have shown more sense than drinking that sleeping potion crap and going through all that drama just because of some unfortunate parental issues. Exactly, Shawnee said. None of us stated the obvious, that Erin with her long blonde hair and blue eyes was definitely not black. We were too used to her and Shawnee being twin-like to question the weirdness of it. Is this blackfishing? Just asking. Also, do you know what I've just realised? There's always this reference of Erin acting as though she is this stereotypical black woman, right? Why is there never... If they're twins, then... Why is it always Erin blackfishing? Why is it never Shawnee acting like a stereotypical white woman? Whatever that would look like. We're talking about chakras and iced lattes and yoga. Why is it never the flip? Why is it Erin acting... A bit weird, isn't it? Bit weird. Don't know where I'm going with it, but it's a bit weird. Handbag dogs. A stereotypical white woman with a mocha frappe iced latte going to yoga with a handbag dog in her handbag. Don't see any of that though, do you? Jack's cute face lit up and I squeezed Eric's hand. This was one reason why I liked him so much. Besides being gorgeous and talented, Eric was an authentically nice guy. There were a lot of guys in his position, ridiculously popular, who would either have ignored this little third former roommate or worse, been visibly pissed that they'd have to share a room with a cigarette. I'm British. The all-powerful, all-knowing vampires tolerating homophobia on campus is a very high IQ move. I don't expect you to understand it. I barely understand it myself. Eric has brought Zoe a present from New York while she was busy cheating on him with 2 different blokes. I love this book. #girlboss. The present is a dress. I don't care. We hugged again before my friends and I had to rush out and head to the rec hall. I clutched the dress to my chest and tried not to think about the fact that while Eric was buying me an amazingly cool present, I had either been sucking Heath's blood or flirting with Lauren. And while I tried to not think about that, I also tried to ignore the guilty voice inside my head that kept saying over and over, you don't deserve him, you don't deserve him, you don't deserve him. She doesn't, but don't worry. The series character assassinates him later on so you don't feel bad about her cheating on him. Chapter 20. Zoe sets up the full moon ritual. The table already had an ornate goblet on it, as well as a beautiful statue of the goddess, a long, elegant lighter, and the purple candle that would represent spirit, the last element I would call to the circle. The table symbolised the richness of the blessings Nyx has given her children, vampires and fledglings. I don't know if this ever gets explained, but is Nyx god of the vampires only? Or is she god? Because if she's not god and just god of the vampires, then other gods must exist, surely. But if she's the god of all, then why does she only spoil humans? No. Why does she only spoil vampires and not humans? She doesn't give a toss about humans. They get the short end of the stick if she is god. Whereas one race gets all these like magical powers and gets to live for a long time, blah, blah, blah. And they also know that their creator exists. Whereas the normal humans don't get any of that. So why? Tell me that. Zoe describes her dress. The dress was simple but perfect. It had a round neckline that was low, but not as low as hoish Aphrodite's ritual dresses had been. Aphrodite lives rent-free in her head. They set up candles for each element, and Stevie Ray screams at her candle, because she can smell the earth. Stevie Ray represents earth. They conclude that Stevie Ray must have an affinity for earth. I thought they already realised this in the first book, but clearly not. Kay, I said quickly. His excitement was contagious. It would be fantastic if Stevie Ray had an earth affinity. Having an elemental affinity was a powerful gift from Nyx, and I would definitely love it if my best friend had been blessed like that from our goddess. All of them end up with these affinity superpowers, by the way. It's like a pound shop Avengers team. They all laugh and cry about Stevie Ray's new affinity, and it makes me sick. This group of annoying merry sidekicks getting special powers just because they know Zoe. It's nepotism in action. Jack, would you please go over to Damien and get the tray of candles he's holding and bring them back here to the middle of the circle? Yep, Jack said, and scampered off to do as I asked. Okay, he didn't actually scamper, but he was very perky. Everyone in this is like her dog. I knew what was wrong. Damien was afraid he would fail, that he would be left out of the magic that was happening to the girls. In sociology class, I'd learned that it was unusual for a gift as strong as an affinity for an element to be given to a male. Nyx gifted men with exceptional strength. Well, that's not very pro-feminist of her, is it? And their affinities usually had to do with the physical, like Dragon, our fencing instructor, had been gifted with exceptional quickness and visual accuracy. Air was definitely a female affinity. This is incredibly progressive. And it would be nothing... So it's the air. So, I didn't realise the air was gendered. Oh, watch out, men. I know you're all breathing in the air right now, but you're big old wimps for doing so. Big sissies, pussy holes, bruv. What nonsense, what gendered rubbish is this? Sorry. And it would be nothing short of incredible for Nyx to gift Damien with an air affinity. I don't know about you guys, but personally, I can't wait for all of the, well, Damien's gay, which basically means he's a female. So it makes sense that he's got an air affinity. Rubbish to arise from this. I can't wait. Superb, glorious, wondrous, simpleton, oaf, nincompoop. All of her friends get elemental affinities because they are super special, but not as special as Zoey, and Nefray turns up to gas them all up. I prophesy, shouldn't it be prophesize, that this group of fledglings will make history. Never before has so much been given to so many at the same time and place. Yeah, so much and deserving of so little. Nefray decides to steal the show and tells everyone Zoey's ideas for the Dark Daughters. Her wish? I ground my teeth together and tried to find my happy place while Nefray paused to let the general sounds of celebrations die, which included the twins, Stevie Ray, Damien, Eric and Jack cheering their brains out. Get a life! Jeesh! She was making it seem like she... Get a life them for just like cheering, being like, woo, news! Imagine every time you put BBC News on, you sit there at home like, woo, yeah! Who's getting invaded today? Oil prices have gone up, woo! Shut up. She was making it like she was responsible for ideas I'd sweated over for weeks. Didn't Zoey spend one afternoon coming up with the ideas? Regardless of how long she spent on it, Nefray is still taking credit for all of Zoey's ideas. Ooh, girl boss, gatekeep, gaslight. But first I have a gift for the new prefect council. She clapped her hands together and 5 male vampires I'd never seen before emerged from the shadows of the entryway. She's hired strippo-vamps. They're carrying something. I had no clue what they were. Nefray's laughter bubbled around us, making me grind my teeth together. You're going to need some jaw Botox for that, love. Did no one else think she sounded totally patronising? Trouble in paradise. The slabs these vampire stripograms are carrying are wet cement, so the council can imprint their handprints. Nefray leaves and Zoey is big mad. Chapter 21. Zoey bemoans that Nefray is a troll, but she can't tell anyone because no one would believe her except for Aphrodite. Lauren shows up. Crap, Lauren, you scared me so bad I almost peed on myself, I blurted before I had time to control my dorky mouth. Why is any dude into Zoey? She has zero game. Stressed, I bet, he touched my arm in a gesture that probably looked innocent. You know, friendly and professorially supportive, but felt like a caress, a really warm caress. His widening smile made me wonder about his vamp intuitiveness. If he could read any part of my mind, I would just die. Well, I'm here to help you with that stress. Zoey's boyfriend is right there, and this dude is hitting on her. Lauren offers to recite a poem for Zoey and her circle. Zoey casts the circle as Lauren recites. All of this ritual stuff just sounds like there's something dodgy going on at Bohemian Grove. Every time Zoey casts a circle, we get the same air felt like this, copy-pasted descriptions, and it's very tedious, book after book. There's then lots of self-aggrandizing crap about how good the new Dark Daughters are going to be, and then Zoey goes on about how great each friend is. She can't help but call Shawnee's skin mocha for the 500th time in this book. If I had £1 for every time Shawnee's skin is likened to a Starbucks drink, then I'd have enough money to go to Starbucks. I went to Erin. My friend Erin's beauty sometimes fools people into thinking she has great hair but no brains. It's not true. She is one of the wisest people I know, and Nyx proved that she looks to the interior when she chose Erin. At what point has Erin been wise? Tell me. Give me one example. Please. All she does is salivate over dudes. That's it. Oh, and blackfishes. I stopped in front of Stevie Ray. She was looking tired, with dark circles bruising the otherwise pale skin under her eyes, which made sense. Obviously, she'd been worrying too much about me, as usual. Thing is, though, Stevie Ray is obsessed with Zoey, so Zoey wouldn't be wrong in thinking this. Chapter 22. They do the ritual, drink some wine, and that's it. Please, like my twin can't call in a little water to soup that cement right up if it has the nerve to dry before we can make our handprints. This is torture. Erin nodded. That's what I'm here for, twin. That and be an example of incredibly good fashion sense. Both are very important, twin. They are twins. They're twins joined at the hip by their boring personalities. Y'all, let's just make the handprints and get out of here. My stomach kind of hurts and I got a killer headache, Stevie Ray said. I nodded in complete understanding with Stevie Ray. We slept in so late we hadn't had the time to eat anything. I was starved too, and I'd probably get a caffeine-deprived headache myself if I didn't eat and drink something pretty soon. The way that the book is trying to make Zoey so oblivious to what's going on is, I say this word a lot, it's really contrived because there's no way she's this stupid. But it's funny that no one else cares about how Stevie Ray is about to reject the change and die, and Zoey's just busy thinking of herself. Well, come on then, stop dilly-dallying. Stevie Ray grumped while she practically stomped over to one of the cement squares. What's wrong with her? Damien whispered. Clearly she's having PMS issues, Shawnee said. Yeah, I noticed earlier when she was looking kind of pale and bloated, but I didn't want to be mean and say anything. Erin said. Ooh, they're going to regret that. I wetted some towels in the kitchen so you guys could wipe your hands when you're done, said Jack, who was looking very cute and nervous holding an armload of damp white towels. I smiled at him. That's really nice of you, Jack. Okay, let's do it. Why is the new kid their butler? My God, grow up. The cement was definitely still wet, and there was a lot of laughing going on as we made our prints and then used twigs Jack ran out to collect. The kid was certainly handy to have around to write our names. He's like a golden retriever. Stevie Ray starts coughing, and finally her friends pay attention to her. Then I smelled it, and it was like I'd slammed into an invisible wall. The scent of blood washed over me, seductive, alluring, and horrible. I stopped and closed my eyes. Maybe if I stayed very still and didn't open them, I could convince myself that this was all a bad dream, that I would wake up in a few hours still nervous about the full moon ritual, with Nala snoring peacefully on my pillow, and Stevie Ray snoring just as peacefully in the bed beside me. I felt an arm go around me, and still I didn't move. She needs you, Zoey. Damien's voice was shaking only a little. I opened my eyes then and stared at him. He was already crying. I don't think I can do this. His grip on my shoulder tightened. Yes, you can. You have to. Zoey, Stevie Ray sobbed. Zoey, your bestie is about to die. It's not all about you for once. Just go help her and comfort her, you witch. Stevie Ray is coughing up blood everywhere. She's scared about dying, but I mean, like, why though? There's an afterlife and Nyx exists. You'll be fine, mate. Chin up. Could be worse. You could be dead. Oh. Damien brings Stevie Ray her candle, and Zoey calls Earth to them to comfort her. Nefere appears to do absolutely nothing useful, and they take Stevie Ray to the infirmary. Stevie Ray has a final request. You don't really have a mama or a daddy, so would you tell my mama that you're their daughter now? I think I'd worry about them less if I know y'all have each other. Her eyes fluttered and she smiled again. Good. Mama will make chocolate chip cookies for you. With obvious effort, she opened her eyes again and looked around at Damien, Shawnee, and Erin. Y'all stick with Zoey. Don't let anything pull you apart. Even her final moments are about Zoey. I genuinely cannot deal with this. I mean, she is dying. This is meant to be emotional. I'm meant to feel something, and yet how can I when she is just a walking I love Zoey robot? I don't care. Anyway, she dies. Rip. Zoey is in shock, so naturally everyone fusses over her because no one else matters. Never mind that the others were friends with Stevie Ray for longer, it is the Zoey Redbird show. Her friends use their affinities to help her come out of shock. Right now, Zoey can't manifest anything by herself. Let's give her some help. 2 strong hands gripped my shoulders, along with other hands that grasp places on my arms. I have no affinity for these things, but I do care about what happens to Zoey, and she has been gifted with an affinity for all 5 elements. We know, we've been told 100 times. So I, along with all of our friends, asked that the element... Wait, are they using the power of friendship? It's like the end of Attack on Titan. Shit. So I, along with all of her friends, asked that the element's spirit help wake her up so she can get over the death of her best friend. I found the use of get over her friend's death a bit harsh here. I mean, Stevie Ray just died. Her body ain't even cold yet. Zoey sees Stevie Ray and Nyx somehow, and then she wakes up. She lets go of Stevie Ray's body and is taken back to her dorm. Aphrodite approaches her. I'm sorry Stevie Ray died. I didn't want her to, Aphrodite said. Don't say shit to us, you flipping hag, Shawnee snarled. She and Erin stepped forward, looking like they wanted to beat the crap out of Aphrodite. Lovely. Nick sure is smart, bestowing a bunch of magical powers and the fate of vampires and humans alike onto a bunch of emotionally immature brats. Zoe goes off to talk to Aphrodite about visions and feelings, and then she's just rude to her for no reason. I wanted to know if she had a vision about Stevie Ray's death, I said. But Nephre has made it clear that Nyx has turned her back on Aphrodite, Damien said. Oh my god, shut up. Shut up, you little fanboy. You've already established that her visions work. Again, shut up. You mug. I hate you. Also, yeah, not being funny, right? Just playing devil's advocate a little bit. Why would an all-knowing, all-powerful, all-loving God turn their back on a fledgling simply for being a bully? It's not that deep. She didn't kill anyone. Even if she had, she could just ask Nyx for forgiveness and all would be well. That is literally how it works. It's how Christianity works.
Mr. Funny Man, come here. Hey, buddy, we're Christians. We don't like what you said. I said, then forgive me.
She gets to her room and all of Stevie Ray's stuff is gone. It's put into storage. Zoe, you really need to get out of these clothes and take a hot shower, Damien said gently. Okay, I said. And while you're in the shower, we'll get you something to eat, Shawnee said. I'm not hungry. You need to eat. We'll get you something simple like soup, okay? Erin said. She looked so upset and was so obviously trying to do something, anything, to make me feel better that I nodded. Plus, I was too tired to argue with anyone. Okay. Why is Zoe the only one who is being fussed over? She is the star of everyone else's show. Oh my god, she's like me. Zoe goes to her room to undress. I closed up the plastic bag and put it by the door. I knew one of the twins would throw it away for me. Always asking if they can help, getting her food and water, taking her rubbish out. These are not friends, these are servants. Zoe showers and cries. Same, to be honest. Chapter 24. Erin and Shawnee are in Zoe's room with snacks when she finishes showering, like the faithful lapdogs they are. I don't think I'll ever feel better. Erin's eyes filled with tears that spilled over and dripped down her cheeks. Don't say that, Zoe. If you never feel better, that means none of us will either. I love how the longer these videos go on, the more disheveled and unkept and ugly I look towards the end of it. You know that I'm just done when I'm not even setting my makeup in place. One of my book reviews popped up on my recommended the other day. I think it was one of the first ones I did, like at the end of last year. And I thought, my makeup looked really nice. I look quite nice there, if I can toot my own horn. What the hell happened? I've really let myself go as these go on. But I'm ready to finish this. I'm ready to be over and done with this. We've got, I don't know, 8 or so more chapters. Let's just smash it out. Picking up directly from where we left off. The vampires don't have funerals for the fledglings because who cares? Kids died. Big whoop. The super master race of vampires are highly empathetic people, as you can see. So Stevie Ray was from a place called Henrietta, which is only an hour away from Tulsa, and both of these towns are in Oklahoma. So I don't understand why Stevie Ray is always called things like a total Okie, and they make fun of her accent or whatever, because Zoe is also from Oklahoma, so surely they must have quite similar accents. It'd be like someone from Portsmouth making fun of someone from Southampton's. I reckon that's about an hour. Or is it? Do you know what I mean? It would be like a southerner making fun of another southerner's accent. Kind of sounds the same. Maybe I'm just totally ignorant. I don't know. I've not been to this part of America. Maybe I'm wrong. Any total Okies out there, please inform me. I thought only Cox thought, I said. We all looked at each other and said, Cox, and then burst out into laughter, which pretty soon was mixed with tears. Stevie Ray would have thought that was hilarious, I said when I could catch my breath again. Ah yes, even in death, she's still a moron. Nephre has given Zoe something to drink so she doesn't have any nightmares, but Aphrodite warns her to not drink it. That seemed to satisfy them. Before they left, Shawnee said, Zoe, can we get you anything else? No thanks though. No, thanks though. It's more natural. You'll call us if you need anything, right? Erin said. We promised Stevie Ray. Her voice broke and Shawnee finished for her. We promised her we'd take care of you and we live up to our promises. Zoe is the only one grieving Stevie Ray, her best friend of a month. Rest of them are fine. Oh yeah, look at this t-shirt. Do you remember when this used to say Buffy on it and you could see all the characters? Zoe throws away the drink after the twins leave. Then her grandma rings her because she had a dream that Zoe was in trouble. Even other people's dreams are about Zoe. My goodness. Zoe relays the news to her grandma. Yes, my voice caught on a sob. Sorry, I just got distracted there because I thought, my God, some potatoes would be really nice to eat right now. Boiled new potatoes, yeah, and then garlic, dairy-free butter, and parsley. Yeah, that'd be really good right now. I think the goddess was, but I don't understand it, Grandma. It doesn't make any sense that Nyx would gift Stevie Ray and then let her die. Well, God sure does work in mysterious ways. Mysterious, illogical, batshit ways. And honey, you have to move past this. How, Grandma? What is the rush? Stevie Ray just died. Why is everyone telling Zoe, get over it, hurry up, move on? So, ironically inhuman. It is very weird, however, that everyone is acting as though Zoe is the only person affected by this, but they're also simultaneously telling her to get over it. Proper mixed messages. Zoe vows to honour Stevie Ray's death in spite of what the adult vampires believe, which is just get over it. Don't get in trouble, honey. Grandma, I'm the most powerful fledgling in the history of vampires. I think I should be willing to get in a little trouble for something I feel strongly about. You are the most annoying fledgling in the history of vampires, I'll give you that. Guys, did you know that Zoe is Cherokee? I love you too, Uetsiagea. The Cherokee word for daughter made me feel loved and safe. We know. We know what... So if Grandma Redbird is full Cherokee, I'm assuming the mum wasn't? So Zoe must... like, how Cherokee is Zoe Redbird? I'll be amazed if Google comes up with this. Cherokee, House of Night wiki. Okay. Cherokee words used in the House of Night series. Silugi, welcome. I'm surprised they didn't start off with Uetsiagea. This is why these videos take so long. I just get distracted. Teehee. ADHD. Teehee. PC and Kristen Cast plagiarize in marked. I'm not reading that. I forget what my point was. I think my point was she's like a quarter Cherokee. Right. Little known fact about myself that I'm going to give you all right now. I, last year, did a DNA test because on one side of my family, we don't know the grand part, right, on one side with one set. So one of my parents doesn't know one of their parents. So I was like, I want to do a DNA test. Because I was expecting, to be honest, a quarter, maybe Middle Eastern. Maybe. That's what I was expecting. Turns out I am 21% Pakistani, which... I love that for me. That's really interesting and all. This is the first time I've ever mentioned it on my channel, and I did this test way over a year ago. Now I'm just thinking, what's the Pakistani word for daughter? Every time they tell us that the Cherokee word for daughter is Uetsiagea, I'm just going to start telling you random words in Urdu. I don't know my point with this. Let's continue. Her and Grandma Redbird hang up, and then Heath texts her, everyone chill out. Leave her alone for 2 seconds. Bad day, my best friend died. I text messaged him back. It was so long that I didn't think he was going to respond. Then finally my phone chimed again. My friends have died too. Alright mate, weird thing to say, it's not competition. Shawnee and Erin come back for a sleepover, as does Damien. After a while I said, I didn't think it could happen to a fledgling who had been given an affinity by Nyx. I just didn't think it could happen. No one's guaranteed to make it through the change, not even those gifted by the goddess, Damien said quietly. Ha! Take that, Mary Suze. You know how like Grandma Redbird is just always like, our Cherokee ancestors are just so proud of you, Zoe, for waking up and walking around. Imagine every time I did something, like someone said to me, Alizee, your Pakistani ancestors are so proud of you right now. It'd just be a bit like odd, like, okay, I'm just literally existing, mate. Whatever. Chapter 25. Zoe is dreaming. She's dreaming about the East Wall. However, it is not a dream though. It is clearly some type of vision. Stevie Ray is by the East Wall with the zombie vampires, like Elliot. Heath shows up, so Stevie Ray grabs him and takes him away. Zoe wakes up to an empty room. Unbelievably, it was still snowing, and even though it was early, the gas lights were illuminating a slate-coloured night and glistening with little snow halos. That's not how Zoe sounds. Shawnee, we have to go on. We have to date and be happy and live our lives. It literally just happened, mate. Like, calm down. Chill. Take a bit of time to yourself. Nothing's guaranteed. Stevie Ray's death proved that. We can't waste the time we've been given. Yeah, but rushing over things and repressing your feelings also isn't helpful in the event of you being young and a friend dying. I think a lot of people have probably been through that. I've been through that as a teenager, you know, a close friend, untimely passing, and I spent a lot of months thinking about it, ruminating over it, grieving. Why did I say that? Grieving with TH. Grieving. There's a normal part of the process. You can remember someone and also grieve. It's like, why are they rushing? Chill out. It just happened. When I said I'd make sure she was remembered, I didn't mean that we were going to be sad forever. It's literally been less than 24 hours, mate. What is this? Is this trying to make her like really wise and mature? Because it just feels like repression. It meant I'd remember the happiness she brought to us and keep her smile close to my heart. Always. Always, Shawnee agreed.
Always.
Zoe ignores her clear vision and instead just says it's a dream. I looked like poo. This is how Zoey Redbird sounds. I managed not to sigh or roll my eyes as I took my place beside Eric. He put his arm around me and squeezed, which made me feel weirdly better but guilty. Better because he was totally sweet and hot and I was still a little amazed that he seemed to like me so much. Guilty, well, that could be summed up in one word. Heath. Eric has brought Star Wars to watch. Shawnee flirts with some bloke called Cole. Are you saying Princess Leia does it for you? Shawnee quipped. No. I'm more colourful than that, he said, leaning towards her. Prison. I looked up to see that cute Drew Partain kid standing nervously at the edge of our group. He looked pale and sad, and his eyes were red as if he'd been crying. I remembered how he had looked at Stevie Ray and felt a stab of sympathy for him. Sure, I said warmly, pull up a chair. Then an inner prompting made me add, there's room over there by Erin. I know you're sad that your crush died, but here's another blonde for you to speak to. What inner prompting? Why is Nyx trying to make Zoe a matchmaker? Hey, I'm going to make us some popcorn. Plus, I need my brown pop, Damien, the twins, and Eric said together. This isn't a Nickelodeon show. I can't see Dan Schneider sniffing around anyone's feet. Why did I write that? Oh my God. I think I was just in a fighting mood that day. All this mention of Coke isn't good for people. It's not Coke, it's brown pop. Now that is subliminal advertising. The way I just immediately attributed brown pop synonymous with Coca-Cola. But all this mentioning of brown pop is bad for someone like me. I want some soda now. There's a news report that someone else has disappeared. Heath. His truck was found outside the House of Night. Zoe froze up. Dun dun dun! Chapter 26. Zoe decides to see Neferre. Oh, it's hot. This chair is uncomfy. Why is my life so hard? Thanks, but first I need to brush my teeth and put on some shoes. I just stuck on a pair of thick socks to come down and watch TV. I cannot express to you right now how little I care. Zoe goes to Aphrodite's room instead. Zoe asks Aphrodite about visions and decides her dream was a vision. Aphrodite warns her about Neferre. Aphrodite looked away. My first roommate died 6 months after she got here. I took the medicine. It affected me for a long time. What do you mean? How did it affect you? It made me feel funny, detached, and it stopped my visions. Not permanently, just for a couple of weeks. And then it was hard for me to even remember what she looked like. Aphrodite paused. Venus. Her name was Venus Davis. Her eyes met mine again. She was the reason I chose Aphrodite as my new name. We were best friends and we thought it was cool. Her eyes were filled with sadness. I'd made myself remember Venus, and I figured you'd want to remember Stevie Ray. She does have a heart. You had to dig a little deep, but bigger heart than those other idiots. So clearly the adult vampires give the kids a drink to make them forget their dead friends and thus get over it. How callous. Zoe goes back to her friends. I'd worried for a really long time that my extra powers and my weird goddess chosen... What a humble bragger. Yeah, my goddess chosen marks actually would brand me such a freak I wouldn't fit in. I wouldn't have any friends. But the opposite seemed to be happening. Yeah, being specifically chosen by a god who is tangibly real would make you unpopular. Of course it would. They bump into Neferre, who is with the detectives again, and Zoe goes off for questioning. She admits that she was going to see Heath on Friday. Zoe, you know it is strictly against school rules to continue to date humans from your old life. I noticed, as if for the first time, the disgust that filled her voice when she said humans. Get a life, Nephre, you square. It seems clear to me what happened. The boy was trying to see Zoe, again. It was only last month that he and that girlfriend of his climbed over our wall, saying they were going to break her out of the school. Nephre waved her hand dismissively. He was drunk and high then, he was probably drunk and high this morning. The snow was too much for him and he's probably fallen into a gutter somewhere. Isn't that where drunks usually end up? Ma'am, he's a teenager, not a drunk. And his parents and friends say that he hasn't had a drink in a month. Nephre is, she is a boomer because she's like literally like 200 years old or whatever. But what a stupid thing to say. Or whether drunks. He's not like Barney Gumble from The Simpsons. Zoe admits that she might have had a vision about Heath and Nephre tries to dismiss her. Detective Marks likes Zoe. So he tells her that his sister is a vampire. But they are still close, even though vampires aren't meant to be close to their human families or something. Sounds a bit like a cult, doesn't it? Isolating you from your friends and family. The detectives leave. Nephre asks if Zoe imprinted with Heath. Zoe panics that Nephre will read her mind, but as always, thankfully, Nyx bails her out. Chapter 27. Zoe is back with her friends. They mumbled okays and everyone settled in to watch the Will and Grace rerun marathon while we waited for the news. What a coincidence, I've been rewatching Will and Grace as well. Zoe is restless and decides to go to the stables to brush Persephone the horse. Well, okay, I like horses. Let's go groom Persephone, Eric said. I need to be alone. The words sounded so much harsher than I'd meant them that I sat back down next to him and slid my hand into his. I'm sorry, it's just that I need time to think, and it's something that I have to do alone. Yeah, sorry, Eric, she's really just not that into you. Zoe admits to Eric she cares about Heath a lot and that she imprinted with him and that she saw him recently. Eric is all whatever and they kiss anyway. Z, if you really did imprint with Heath, you might be able to find him, Eric said. I paused and turned back to Eric. He looked strained and unhappy, but he didn't hesitate to explain. While you're brushing the mare, think about Heath, call to him. If he's able to, he'll come to you. If he's not and your imprint is strong enough, you may be able to get an idea of where he is. Good guy, Eric. Or cuckold Eric. Cast your votes now. Zoe resolves to avoid Lauren. She brushes Persephone and thinks of Heath, calling out to him using their psychic imprinted connection. She finds him in a tunnel tied up. They talk. He says he's in the tunnels under Tulsa that were dug due to the prohibition in the 20s. 1920s, that is, not 2020s. Have they been drinking your blood? The thought made me furious with such an intensity that I was having a hard time controlling my emotions. I wanted to rage at someone and shriek, he belongs to me. I forced myself to take several deep breaths while he answered me. Oh dear. I'm not really sure. It's so dark down here and they always come in weird groups all smushed together like they're scared of being alone. Well, except for 3 of them. One's named Elliot, one's named Venus, how weird is that? And the other one is called Stevie Ray. My stomach knotted. Does Stevie Ray have short curly blonde hair? How many fledgling zombie Stevie Rays could there possibly be? Also, like, she literally died like 10 hours ago or something. I just feel like it's a bit anticlimactic. Stevie Ray turns out to be the leader of these tunnel zombie gremlins. Even though it's only been 10 hours, so why is she the leader? Heath tells Zoe where he is, and she says she will come to find him. Chapter 28. So much has happened in 3 days. The pacing in these books are hideous. No wonder everyone's always so stressed. Also, I made a fatal error earlier. I was just Googling stuff because I never finished reading this series, but I think I got to book 10, so I really tried to power through and soldier on. I was Googling whether something happens to Aphrodite. I'm not going to give the spoilers out just yet because we will get there. I'm intent on finishing these books. I thought there were 12 main series books, 4 novellas, and then 4 kind of extracurricular mythology-based ones. There's actually a spin-off series with 4 like main 355 pages long books. So there's, 24 books in this? If I do this at a rate of once a month, it's going to take me 2 years to finish this. Now I'm stressed out. Zoe plots on how to get to the downtown depot. Aphrodite pops up out of nowhere to tell Zoe to ride there with the horse. Aphrodite had a vision of Heath dying and went to tell Zoe because she's not that much of a terrible person. She came into the stall and handed me a bridle I hadn't noticed she'd been holding. While I put it on Persephone, Aphrodite disappeared to come back with a saddle and saddle blanket. Silently, we put the tack on Persephone, who seemed to sense our intensity because she held completely still. When she was ready, I led her from the stall. Call your friends first, Aphrodite said. See, she's the one thinking of stuff, and Zoe's going to get all the credit. Zoe calls her friends and tells them to call their elements. It's like Avatar, The Last Airbender. I've never seen that show, so I wouldn't know, but it sounds like something from Avatar. Today was the second vision I had about them, though. The first time I saw the other two guys being killed by them, Aphrodite brushed a thick strand of blonde hair from her face. Instantly, I was pissed, and you didn't say anything about it because they're just human teenagers and not worth your time to save. Aphrodite's eyes blazed with anger. I told Nephire. I told her everything, about the human kids, about those things, everything. That's when she started saying my visions were false. I knew she was telling the truth, just as surely as I had begun to know that there was something dark about Nephire. Sorry, I said shortly. I didn't know. Maybe, here's my theory, maybe she's always told Nephire about her visions eventually, but Nephire genuinely hates humans, so maybe she's only ever saved and intervened a few times to keep up appearances. Who knows? I don't. Whatever, she said. You need to get out of here or your boyfriend is going to die. Ex-boyfriend, I said. Again, I say whatever. Here, I'll give you a leg up. I let her hoist me into the saddle. Take this with you. Aphrodite handed me a thick plaid horse blanket. Before I could protest, she said, it's not for you. He'll need it. As in Heath. She is more considerate of Heath being a human than Zoe is. Aphrodite is the real main character. Aphrodite knows that CB Ray is one of them. They call them red fledglings because their eyes are red, the tattoos are red. I don't remember. Something to do with red, but zombie fledgling sounds much better. She did look up at me then. Her expression was flat and unreadable. Don't start acting like we're friends or anything, she said. Wouldn't think of it, I said. I mean, we're not friends. Nope, definitely not. I was pretty sure I saw her trying not to smile. As long as we have that straight, Aphrodite said. Oh, she added. Remember to pull silence and darkness around yourself so humans will have a hard time seeing you on the way there. You don't have time to be stopped. Zoe can't do anything by herself. Aphrodite is the best character in the book, despite technically assaulting someone in the first novel. So what does that tell you about the writing skills and the other characters? Zoe uses the elements to make her life easier. So privileged. She is the 0.0001% of vampires. Thank you, Nyx, for the great gifts you have given me. Silently I added that I hoped I deserved them. You don't. Let's get Heath, I told Persephone. She swung into her ground-eating canter easily, and I was amazed to see that the snow and ice seemed to fly back from her hooves as we magically blasted through the night under the watchful eye of the goddess who was herself night personified. Why can't Nyx just sort it out herself? I don't believe this guff about giving her subjects free will, seeing as she's constantly puppeteering Zoe like a marionette, giving her all these powers, visions, gut feelings on what to say and what to do. Zoe is a Nyx-powered robot. So why doesn't Nyx just stop the pretext of free will and just evaporate Nephire herself and be done with it? I suppose this is the pitfall of verifying an all-powerful god in a novel when done incorrectly. The Legacy of Kain series, which is a video game series, is one of the most underrated video game series of all time, if you ask me, does it well. It has a Lovecraftian elder god, spoiler alert, who claims to be the hub in the wheel of the Wheel of Fate, but he actually turns out to just be a gigantic parasite feeding on souls in the end. R.I.P.
I am the engine of life, the source of Nosgoth's very existence. I am the hub of the wheel, the origin of all life, the devourer of death.
Or maybe you're just hungry. Could it be as simple as that? Wouldn't that be poetic irony? The great adversary of the vampires turns out to be the biggest parasite of them all.
Zoe arrives at the depot easily. Now it looked like something that should be in the Gotham City of the Batman Dark Knight comics. Yes, I know, I'm a dork. Teehee, I'm so quirky and adorkable because I like one of the most recognizable and successful pop culture icons of modern times.
I'm vengeance.
I looped her reins around a metal thingy. A metal thingy? Who edited this? Use your words. Use your synonyms, Zoey Redbird. All-powerful fledgling my arse. She can't even use a dictionary. Zoe descends into the tunnels. The sides of the walls looked like they had been gouged out by very drunk Tolkien dwarfs. Again, I'm aware that I am a dork. Again, there is nothing really dorky in the slightest about enjoying one of the most successful book series of all time, but okay. I bet Zoe has never even read the books. Bet she's never even seen the film. She's just seen the Hobbit film. No, I'm joking. You're not a real Lord of the Rings fan unless you've seen the 1978 animated version. Don't even test me.
They have no choice.
There is no one else for them to take up with except a fat innkeeper who only remembers his name because people shouted at him all day.
I'm joking. Gatekeeping art is so stupid. Did anyone see that? So recently in Stranger Things, Master of Puppets by Metallica was played, and I don't know if it was on their TikTok or something, but someone commented being like, oh, I'm really sorry about all the fake fans you're going to get who've just seen that Stranger Things show or whatever, who just know about you from that. And Metallica were like, I mean, there's room for people. That's great. Maybe they'll enjoy others. Like, what a stupid thing to say. Of course, they like, oh no, I'm sorry, you're going to get loads of fake fans and earn money from your song being on a show. Imagine gatekeeping Metallica. Again, one of the most successful metal bands of all time. We know they exist. They're not some underrated little hidden gem that you've been hiding away. They're not some like Swedish folklore, mythological, speed metal sea shanties band. You know what I mean? It's Metallica. Who hasn't heard of them? I always preferred Megadeth. I don't expect you guys to have heard. I'm joking, I've been stupid. It's really hot. What did I say? Oh yeah. Hold up. See the acting there. See the acting. The way I make my script sounds so natural, even though I'm totally just reading off of it all the time. Stevie Ray died. Neferre needed the body to show her parents. This was said in the book. They were like, Zoe, you have to let her go, because she was holding on to her body, right? Zoe has a dream later that night about Stevie Ray becoming a red fledgling. So what happened? Where Stevie Ray's parents came and didn't take her body home. I find that hard to believe, but also that would have given them space of what? What, like an hour or two? So they spend an hour or two with their daughter's body and then just go, no, you guys keep the body. Stevie Ray's parents loved her. They didn't hold her becoming a vampire against her. I would assume they'd want to take her home to have a burial. Maybe Neferre could have said something about honouring Nyx or whatever. I don't know. So were they told? They came, they didn't take the body home, and it was all done in the space of an hour, because I'm assuming changing a fledgling from dead to a born-again red fledgling would take a while, and Zoe's dream, which is a vision, was coinciding with that in present time. This is what I'm assuming. Or were her parents not told? Were they just not told? Because if they weren't told, sooner or later they would realise that their daughter was missing, right? So what is it? They were told, and everything with the parents' side got resolved in the space of an hour or so, because they've got to travel there, deal with the grief and the shock. This would take time. No one thinks about these books more than me, not even the authors themselves. I just think it's the pitfall. I'm gonna love using that term. The pitfall of having pacing that is just so... Oh, that was my point about there being 24 books in the series. So I read like a summary of one of the spin-off ones called Loved. And, oh, who cares about spoilers, whatever. We're going to spoil this series for anyone who doesn't know. It doesn't matter. It's like Zoe has just turned 18. In these books, she's 16. So you've got 16 main series books about Zoey Redbird. 16 books taking place over 2 years. Is that not the worst pacing you've ever heard? That is literally like 10 things happening every single day. It's not reasonable. For as much as I do like to take the piss out of it, of course I enjoyed reading Harry Potter growing up. Of course I did, right? That's why I like to take the mickey out of it, because I think ironically I probably know way more about Harry Potter than the average person, because this incredible memory for nonsense. But I think the Harry Potter books got the pacing done quite well, because it was a whole school year for each book. Whereas this, all these stories happen over the space of like 2 to 3 days, and it's just not realistic. Feels a bit like, you know, that review I did of that Hungry book where it was just like, this happened, then this happened, then this happened, then this happened. It was like, chill out, slow down, calm down for a minute, please. And Zoe hears Heath screaming, so she runs to him and finds the zombie vampires are trying to feed from him. And that was my last goad. Heath belonged to me. Despite my confusion about the whole blood issue, and despite my feelings for Eric, Heath was mine, and no one else was ever going to feed from what was mine. Ah yes, objectifying humans as walking blood bags. We love to see the progressivism. I burst through the circle of hissing creatures like I was a bowling ball. More like the boulder from Crash Bandicoot. I pushed Heath to the wall and stepped in front of him as I turned to face the closing circle of Eesh! They were the most disgusting things I'd ever seen. There were probably a dozen or so of them. Their faces were white and gaunt. Their eyes glowed a dirty red. They snarled and hissed at me, and I saw that their teeth were pointed. And their fingernails, their fingernails were long and yellow and dangerous looking. Why are their teeth all pointed? I'm assuming like they died with their normal teeth and enamel. Why would resurrecting them change the teeth unless Nephre is there like filing them down? They're not getting veneers, mate. They're not getting crowns. They don't have, like, why would they need smiles like Katie Price? I stand by that. I think crowns are stupid and only to be done in severe cases where the enamel is just gone. Otherwise, why are you removing perfectly good? It's a pet peeve of mine. I'm not even going to get into it because I could derail this for 10 minutes. It's such a pet peeve of mine. People ruining perfectly good teeth and setting themselves up for failure and expensive maintenance for the rest of their life. Keep your enamel. Unless it's the worst case scenario and you actually need them. Anyway, why are their teeth all pointy? Nothing quite takes away the suspense and creepiness out of a text than the narrator saying, Eesh, ugh, ooh, ah. It's just a fledgling, hissed one of them. The mark doesn't make her a vampire. It makes her a freak. Why is this like parcel tongue? And why is it inconsistent? Shouldn't it be the mark doesn't make her? I looked at the speaker. Elliot. I'm not the Elliot you knew anymore. Snake-like, his head wove back and forth as he spoke. Why? Then his glowing eyes flattened and he curled his lip. Why has he turned into a snake? Maybe this is the Animorphs. I'll show you what I mean. Seashells on the seashore. Why is he hissing though? It just looks like the cast duo got a bit of jam stuck on their S key on the keyboard. S key. Zoe uses the power of flame and friendship to set her hands on fire. Stay back, Elliot. You were a pain in the ass when you were alive and death hasn't changed anything. Elliot cringed back from the light I was producing. He really didn't do anything other than exist and be admittedly a bit of a dick to, what's his face? Damien. That one time. Stevie Ray appears, chapter 29. And him being a dick to Damien was literally just to justify all the nasty stuff being said about his appearance. Like, oh, well, he's a homophobe, so... No, they put that in to justify all the horrible stuff Zoe was thinking beforehand about it. That's what I believe. Chapter 29. Stevie Ray's eyes are full of hatred. Did I say that Stevie Ray appeared? Oh, she's just there. She's appeared. In life, Stevie Ray had been the kindest person I'd ever known. You only think that because she was constantly puckering up to your asshole. I died. Her voice was only a twisted, malformed shadow of what it had once been. She still had her oaky twang. I don't know what that sounds like, so this is meaningless to me. But the soft sweetness that had filled it was totally gone. She sounded like mean trailer trash. A little bit classist, but okay. Zoe decides to hug her. Don't touch me again, she said. Lol, get wrecked. Stevie Ray begins threatening Zoe, and the other fledglings get impatient, wanting to kill them. Zoe and Heath, that is, not Stevie Ray. He isn't a that, he's Heath, remembered Stevie Ray, my ex-boyfriend? Zoe, I am not your ex-boyfriend, I'm your boyfriend. Heath, I told you before that this can't possibly work out between us. Come on, Zoe, we're imprinted. That means it's you and me, baby. They could die, but this stupid teenage romance drama takes away any of the threat and the seriousness of the situation. That was an accident, and we're going to have to talk about it, but this is definitely not the time. Oh, Zoe, you know you love me. Heath's grin didn't fade one bit. Heath, you are the most stubborn kid I've ever known. He winked at me and I couldn't help smiling back at him. Fine, I love you. What's happening? The gross Elliot creature hissed. Elliot is me right now. Very relatable. Tell him, I said. Tell all of them. Tell them what? She narrowed her garnet eyes dangerously. Tell them what's happening here. You know. I know you do. Stevie Ray's face contorted and the words sounded like they were being wrenched from her throat. Humanity. They're showing their humanity. The creature snarled like she'd just thrown holy water on them. And please, that's such an untrue cliche about vampires. Why would they start snarling at like a word? Also, Stevie Ray has literally been a red fledgling for what? All of 2 seconds. All of one evening. So why... if they just paced this out a bit, right, if there was just more time, maybe a few weeks for Zoe to start grieving and coming to terms with her supposedly best friend dying, and then you find out, maybe if they left it for another book, that you find out that Stevie Ray's actually come back as a red fledgling instead of it happening straight away, then, because she has some sort of like existential crisis in a minute, we'll get to it, of her being this red fledgling and being a monster and whatever. And it just, to me, it just doesn't really make that much sense though, because she's literally just been made into one. Like, she's got to come to terms with it and come to grips with it. There's got to be a bit of time for... Who am I talking to? I don't have a mama. I'm not human anymore. Big effing deal. Technically, I'm not a human anymore either. I'm somewhere in the middle of the change, which makes me a little of this and a lot of that. Hell, the only one who's still human here is Heath. Not that I hold your unhumanness against you guys, Heath said. I sighed. Heath, unhumanness isn't a word, it's inhumanity. Zoe, I'm not stupid. I know that. I was just coining a word. Coining? Had he really just said that? He nodded. I learned about it in Dixon's... Grow up. English class. It has something to do with, he paused, and I swear the creatures were even listening expectantly. Poetry. Despite our awful situation, I laughed. Heath, you really have been studying. Told you so, he grinned, looking completely adorable. Please, can the fledglings just attack them already? Stevie Ray tells the others to kill them. Finally. Zoe sets her arms on fire and threatens to kill them. From the edge of my vision, I saw a movement. I turned in time to see one of the creatures launch herself at Heath. I lifted my arms and flung the fire at her as if I was throwing a ball. As she screamed and went up in flames, I recognized her and had to fight hard not to be sick. It was Elizabeth, no last name, the nice girl who had died last month in the first book. Now her burning body writhed on the floor, reeking of spoiled meat and decay, which is all that was left of her lifeless shell. Right, Stephen King. Cold-blooded. The zombies follow them through the tunnels, so Zoe uses the power of Earth to close the tunnel and keep the zombies away. Heath offers his blood to Zoe because she's exhausted, but Stevie Ray dramatically appears out of nowhere to scream, "Kill me!" Well, I would, but you're already dead, technically. It's chapter 30. Stevie Ray is there crying about being undead. Of course you're alive, you're walking and talking. I'm not me anymore. I did die, and a part of me, the best part of me, is still dead, just like it is for the rest of them, she gestured back at the cave-in. You're not like they are, I said firmly. You're not like they are. You're not like they are. Should it be you're not like them? You're not like they are. What? Why? There was nothing wrong with the Elizabeth no last name part. Like, she was nice enough. It was even said that in the book, that she was nice enough. So she was nice, and supposedly Stevie Ray's meant to be nice as well. So what? Just because Stevie Ray is Zoe's friend, she's not. She's like the exception. Whatever. Shut up, elitist bitches. Her eyes found mine again. No, I wanted to kill him. I still do. The rest of them killed Brad and Chris, Heath said, and that was my fault. Heath, now's not the time, I started, but he cut me off. No, you need to hear this, Zoe. Those things grabbed Brad and Chris because they were hanging around the House of Night, and that's my fault because I told them how hot you are. Stevie Ray tells Zoe that Nephray made her and the other zombies, and Stevie tells Zoe to run. I'm not giving up on you, Stevie Ray. Use your element. You still have a connection with the earth. I can feel it. So use your element to stay strong. I'll come back for you, and somehow we'll figure this out. We'll make this okay, I promise. Then I hugged her hard, and after only a little hesitation, she hugged me back. How lucky for Stevie Ray that Nyx gave her an affinity for an element just by proximity to Zoe. That was the only reason that she got this element, because she's Zoe's mate. Screw the other fledglings, like Elizabeth, no last name, who died, was re-alived, and then died again. Serves her right for not being besties with Zoe, I guess. They escape the tunnels, and Zoe calls Detective Marks to tell him that Heath is safe. Marks says that he will find them. Zoe and Heath hang out for a bit before Nephray appears. Zoe pretends to be happy to see Nephray as if it's just a coincidence. Zoe, Heath, Nephray moved swiftly to us. She lifted her hands, which glowed with a weird reddish light, and suddenly reminded me of the undead thing's eyes. Before I could run or scream or even take a breath, she grabbed our shoulders. I felt Heath go rigid as pain shot through my body. It blasted against my mind, and my knees would have buckled had her hand not been like a vice holding me up. You will remember nothing. The words echoed through my agony-filled mind, and then there was only darkness. Don't worry, Nyx will see that she remembers everything. Chapter 31. Zoe is dreaming that she's in a meadow. She's with Nyx again, because of course she is. I'm sure that Nyx loves all of her subjects equally, right? No favoritism, right? Don't be sorry, my daughter. You have done very well. I am pleased with you. Of course she's done well. She has a god or demigod holding her hand the entire way. Really, Nyx is just saying that she's pleased with herself. Nyx tells her that the elements can restore, and then Zoey is woken up by Detective Marks. Heath is in an ambulance and Zoey has forgotten what happened. I saw the paramedic give me a look that clearly said freak. What racist. Persephone has been picked up and taken to the police stables, so no one worry about the horse. Don't worry. Peter, calm down. It's all right. Save your emails. Marks takes Zoey home. Zoey tries to remember what happened, but her head keeps hurting when she tries to. My head hurts when I try and read this book. You two have him printed? My surprise must have been easy to read because he smiled and continued. My sister and I talk, and I've been curious about vamp stuff, especially right after she first changed. He shrugged as if it was no big deal for a human to know all sorts of vampire info. We're twins, so we're used to sharing everything. A change of species just didn't make that much difference to us. He glanced sideways at me again. You have imprinted, haven't you? That's nice. Why can't everyone be like Marks? Maybe Marks has the right ideas, but the wrong executions. Zoey knows that someone has messed with her memories, but doesn't know who or what. Luckily for her, Marks knows that high priestesses can alter memories and suggests that Neferre is up to no good. Zoey throws up, which I think is the second time in this book so far. She should probably look into that. Staggered to the ditch, puked my guts up into a snowbank. Detective Marks was beside me, pulling my hair back and sounded very dad-like as he told me to breathe and that everything would be okay. I gulped air and finally stopped heaving. He handed me a handkerchief, one of those old-fashioned linen ones that was folded neatly into a clean square. Detective Marks is the real main character. Marks has taken Zoey to the east wall of the school. Restore. What was it about that word? Tentatively, I fought hard, trying to remember while I braced myself against the pain I was sure would come, but it didn't, and into my memory came the vision of a beautiful meadow and the wise words of my goddess. The elements can restore as well as destroy. And then I understood what I had to do. Isn't it really convenient for Zoey that any conflict she has can be cleared up easily within 10 pages? Imagine if they just had this extended to the next book, her not remembering. It would have just added like a little bit more conflict instead of her being this like perfect protagonist. Zoey uses the elements to heal herself and remembers everything. Chapter 31. Nope. Chapter 32. Zoey doesn't tell the detective the truth to protect him from Neferre, I think. She tells him a homeless guy kidnapped Heath and killed the other 2 teens to try and make it look like vampire killings, I think. Which, that's not stigmatizing at all, is it? Marks decides to go along with Zoey because it's easier than arguing with a teenager. Zoey's friends are there and hug her, and Neferre is there too. Marks tells them someone has been killing teens and tries to make it look tried to make it look like vampires did it. That's wonderful, Neferre said. Is it? Yeah, I met the High Priestess's eyes. I've told Detective Marks a lot. My memory's really good. I'm proud of you, Zoey Bird. Neferre came to me and put her arms around me, hugging me close. So close that only I heard her whisper into my ear, if you speak against me, I'll make sure no human or fledgling or vampire will believe you. Bit of a bold move to do that while she's with a cop and her mates. I didn't pull away from her. I didn't react in any way, but when she let me go, I made my final move, the one I'd planned since the white, hot, familiar sensation had seared the skin on my back. Neferre, would you please look at my back? Go away. Zoey has a new mark tattoo on her back for being so special and awesome and unique. Spectacular, Damien said. It's the same labyrinth pattern as your other marks. Yeah, with the rune symbols placed between the spirals, Eric said. By the time Nyx is finished with Zoey, she's going to look like that dude who has every single inch of his skin tattooed. Good night, Neferre, I said, and this time I hugged her. And as I pulled her close to me, I whispered, humans and fledglings and vampires don't need to believe me about you because Nyx does. This is not over between us. Sorry, but how does no one notice all of this whispering going on? I've never seen whispering that isn't noticeable and suspicious. They aren't as slick as they think they are. Zoey puts out an earth candle for Stevie Ray in front of a statue of Nyx, and her friends promise to remember her, whilst Zoey secretly promises to go back for her. That's it, and we finished it. We finished the second book. And what have we learned today, kids, from this video? Always be besties with Zoey Redbird, otherwise you'll die a fiery death, underground, and forgotten by everyone. Do remember to like, comment, and subscribe. I think I deserve it through slogging through this. I hope you enjoyed. I'll be back with book 3 in a month's time. Please don't hold me to that standard I'm trying to impose on myself. But I will try to do one of these a month so we can get this done within the next 2 years. My God, a lot could change in 2 years. We might all be underwater by then. But if we are living under the sea, at least you can watch this for fun. Thank you so much for watching. check out my merch, check out the sponsor of this video, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye.